Today on the Region Free Gamers podcast, we talk licensed games, both our treasures and our trash. Though some are treasure and trash, so trash or kill me.
Welcome to the Region Free Gamers podcast, everyone. The podcast fluent in gaming. My name, obviously, is Arnie. You can tell by my beautiful silky voice as I'm coming through your earphones right now. And today we have an extremely special episode. We say that every episode because we haven't recorded the one after that as of yet, so it's always special to us.
Correct.
We're going to be talking about licensed video games just to whet your appetite a little bit. And we have a special guest, but I'm going to introduce him in just a second. First, I'm going to give a quick shout out to all our patrons and our listeners. Thank you for always doing what you do. It makes us very happy. It's the reason we do all this, right? But if you want to make us even happier, like right now we're at, I don't know, I'm like at a 6. I don't know about everybody else. If you want to get me to like an 8, a 9 maybe, you can do a couple things. First of all, go to our link tree, linktr.ee/Region Free Gamers podcast. Once you're there, so you've done that, now you can do all sorts of things. You can join our Patreon, give us a little bit of money. Helps us pay for things that we need to do to make the show better. But it helps you too. You get to join our Discord. You get to see us live on Twitch when we're recording. You get to shoot us suggestions for episodes. It's crazy. You get to do all kinds of things for like $3 a month.
It's true.
Insane. You're never going to get that kind of value ever again.
Never.
You could also shoot us a review on Spotify or iTunes. All that stuff is great, guys. Now, we got all the milieu out of the way. Now it's time for the good stuff. So, when we were thinking about this episode, we were like, damn, licensed games, that's a big topic. We need an expert, you know? We need somebody who's dedicated their life to just the worst type of stuff. Like, who's as like irony poisoned as we are to help us out on this episode. And I think we got somebody pretty good. He's an amazing YouTuber. Mike actually turned me on to him. But you know, I love his stuff. Been watching him for a little bit. Not you know, I can't say I'm a convert like 100% yet, but he's getting me. He's
I'm in the cult.
Into me.
I'm in the cult, man. I'm there.
But obviously, yeah, I know you're completely in the tank for him, Mike. Like, yeah. he doesn't need your help.
Yep.
But obviously, Sean, how you doing?
I'm doing good, guys.
YouTube channel name Sean Johnson.
That's right.
Johnson.
But hey, thank you so much for having me on. It's a pleasure to be here. It's always a treat to get invited onto a podcast, and you guys have a pretty good podcast. So it is an honor to be here. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Don't worry, you'll listen to more and you'll revise that opinion later on.
I've only ingested the good stuff.
Obviously, I start with my favorite person who's on the show today, but that doesn't mean I just can't introduce the other people. I'll just be less excited about it.
Eventually.
So obviously, you know, talking licensed video games, you're talking about some video games that not everybody knows about. And if you've listened to the show, there's one guy who knows about video games nobody knows about, and that's Mike. Mike, how you doing?
I'm not gonna brag too hard about that. I'm not gonna flex too hard. I'm really not, by the way. I'm really fucking not. You really shouldn't.
You don't feel like bragging about the fact that your favorite
be the guy. It's funny. Like a friend of mine. We were chatting yesterday, and I was like bringing up, oh yeah, like we're gonna be talking about licensed games tomorrow. Like really stoked. You know, we're gonna have Sean Johnson on. It's gonna be awesome. And he was like, oh man, you're gonna talk about Journey Escape. You're gonna talk about, you know, like there's this actual game on Atari with this like Journey. And I'm like, you mean this one? And I'm holding it up, and he's like, oh, I knew it. And I'm like, oh, you know, but the game sucks. But I don't know, man. I can't help it. I mean, we're gonna talk about it later because like I really do want to like pick everybody's brains about like what is it that's so. What are the reasons why like I think we gravitate towards this stuff, especially as like we get older and we kind of like want to dig back and into it. I have my own theories, so like I'm really excited to kind of find out like why other people think it's cool, you know?
Yeah. But we got to round out the set, right? Couldn't do this with less than 4 people. There's too many good and bad licensed games to talk about.
Damn straight.
Kelly is also here.
Yep.
Kelly, how are you doing?
Oof, I'm coming back to life after like being sick for a good week here. So.
Hey, glad you're feeling better.
I'm sure this won't make you feel worse in any significant way.
I mean, I've got my mute button, I've got my cough drops, I got everything here, so we're good this morning. We're good to go.
There we go. Well, before we kick off properly, Sean, as a brand new guest on the show, it's sort of an informal tradition to sort of get to know the new guest as far as like what their likes and dislikes are gaming wise. And I'm going to start off with the question we sort of start everybody off with. What was your first like gaming experience or the first game you really remember playing?
Oh, wow. You know, speaking of, I suppose, licensed games, this actually kind of rounds out into this as well. The first game that I ever remember playing, my uncle came home one day when I was about 3 or 4 years old. He comes home with a Sega Mega Drive, Genesis, as you might call it, over there.
Yep.
And he sits down, he's like, oh, I've got this Sega if you want to give it a try. Me not knowing what games were whatsoever. And he sits down, he plugs it in, and there's 2 games with it. And one of the games is Sonic the Hedgehog. We don't play that first, right?
Okay.
The other game that we play is the Terminator, right? And I don't know what it was about the Terminator, right? But the opening of this game, right? The first 5 seconds of this game, you walk up and you fight like a giant robot with grenades and stuff. And I don't know what happened to me, but I have never been so scared in my entire life. The way the music kicked off, the way the big robots come out, explosions everywhere, I was terrified. I don't know why. So long story short, I was like, I don't want to touch this again. I don't want to go near it.
That's the scare machine.
Yeah, and you know what? I think it created some sort of deep-rooted fear of video games at that point as well. Anytime a scary video game comes up, I'm like, no, I'm not playing it. Terminator, man, bad flashbacks. But then he sat down, he's like, okay, try this one instead. Plugged in Sonic the Hedgehog, Green Hill Zone starts playing, and then it was, I don't know, just like a love affair ever since then. I think that was the thing that just awakened, you know, this is what I like, this is what I enjoy, and ever since then, it's just been a roller coaster of up and down since then. But hey, you know, Sonic is where it all started. I still have a lot of love for Sonic. And that was my first gaming experience. Extreme fear and extreme joy.
Wow.
Where do you stand on 3D Sonic versus 2D Sonic? Like, what's your personal preference on that?
Man, the hard-hitting questions, Arnie. Come on.
This is a good question. Now, I like 3D Sonic. Right, I'm not like a 3D Sonic hater by any stretch of the imagination, but I think if you grew up with 2D Sonic, you generally would have an affinity for 2D Sonic, I would say. Like, if you were, you know, games like Sonic 2, Sonic 3, you know, Sonic Mania, especially.
Yeah.
They're like peak Sonic, I think, for me, you know, and Sonic and Knuckles, of course. I love, like, I can, you know, I really like Sonic Adventure. I really like Sonic Adventure 2. I really like Sonic Unleashed. I like Sonic Generations. They've all got problems. Some more severe than others. I don't know if you've gone back to play Sonic Adventure or Sonic Adventure 2 recently. I can play those games and be like, I'm having a good time here, but my God.
I'm still haunted by Big the Cat stage in Sonic Adventure 1.
And you love fishing games.
I love fishing. And I'm still like,
it's
God
rough.
damn it, Big the Cat.
It's rough.
It is rough. But I really like, I'll play any Sonic game. It doesn't matter. Like almost like out of brand loyalty at this stage. I'll play it, you know, whether it's good or bad. I think the first time I played a Sonic game where I was like, oh no, maybe I'm not into this anymore was, you know, the Wii U one, Lost World. I was like, I don't know if this is really good. I don't know if I'm enjoying this. And I was like just sitting there in my 20s being like, do I not like Sonic now? It was heartbreaking.
Having a conflict of faith. You were like,
yeah. But at the very least, it made me ignore Sonic Boom, so it probably did me some favors.
Right.
Fair enough. No, you answered my question, because I feel like people who like 3D Sonic, there's a very clear divide in, do you like Sonic Unleashed or not? That's like the pivot point of like how much Sonic do you enjoy? Because some people are like, Sonic Unleashed is garbage, and some people are like, it's pretty good.
I'm like 50-50 with it, because the parts where you play as Sonic, not Werehog Sonic, are really, really good. Some of the best 3D Sonic action by far. And then the Werehog, I'm just like, why is it here? You know, it's not even that I think the combat is bad. It's not even that I think the platforming is bad, even though it kind of is. It's just those sections are like, those levels are like 40 minutes long, 50 minutes long. And I'm like, I don't want to play them. I just want to play the Sonic bits. That, you know, I'm not a Werehog hater though. So if anybody listening, don't come for me.
Yep.
I know.
Please don't. They're out there.
That's not the fandom you wanna get mad at you.
Do not insult the Werehog on Twitter. They will find you.
That's right.
Yep.
Vicious.
It is rough.
And so, like, just as a follow-up to that, eventually, you know, you talk about your first experience being that Terminator. So your first experience with a licensed game, very bad.
Yeah.
And yet somehow later on you turn around and you're like, I want to talk mostly about this now. Like, so how does that happen? When did you, like, as far as your YouTube career goes, when did you decide that this is something you really wanted to talk about and wanted to, like, show the world?
Yeah, because initially on the channel it like now the PlayStation Japanese exclusive stuff, as well as the PAL exclusive stuff, and the wheel, that wheel is motherfucking providing. Okay. But there are a lot of the sort of earlier content is this kind of huge and all of this in the best possible way. We were just talking about this, about, you know, amazing long form content that you can just kind of let yourself get sucked into. But a lot of it is these dissections of like every Marvel game on PlayStation 1, you know, which is amazing. Honestly, like, you see it and you're like, oh god, this is gonna be so good. This is gonna be incredible. Like, because you have no idea like what you're gonna find. Like what drew you? Yeah, what kind of drew you to that? Sorry, Arnie, I didn't mean to hijack that question, but I just wanted to add to it.
You asked it better than I could.
You know?
You both did a great job, by the way. That's excellent. You both enhanced the question.
What a guess.
I live for this positive affirmation.
I know.
Letting it wash over me now.
Usually Paul just berates us.
I suppose the reason why I got into this was, one was boredom was a big aspect of it. I'm what you would call a pandemic YouTuber, where the only reason I even make YouTube videos is because I was kind of stuck at home and I didn't really know what to do. But I guess the main reason why I started this is if I'm not playing a video game, the other thing that I enjoy doing is watching people talk about video games or play video games. And, you know, after years of just like digesting cool videos from people on YouTube and learning about all sorts of different games and watching people make longer and longer videos where they like go through, here's like 50 games on the console, or here's the top and best and worst, and we're going to rank all these games. I started getting to a point where I was like, oh wow, I'd love if people did, you know, a video where, I don't know, they did like, you know, maybe they took a look at all the Disney games on the PS1, or maybe if they looked at all of the Marvel games on the PS1. And I kept sitting there thinking, why is nobody making this? I want to watch it. And when I was bored at home, I was talking to my fiance and she's like, why don't you make it? I'm like, I couldn't make that. She's like, why not? I'm like, I don't know. It's a lot of work. She's like, just try it. What else are you doing? I was like, okay, I'll give it a try. So I sat there. The first video I did, by the way, it was every Disney game on the PS1, right? Which there are 36 of.
Oh my god.
It's so good. You have no idea.
First things first, it's really, right, you don't just go onto the internet and like look for a list. You can't just type in every Disney game on the PS1. They don't just tell you that. You have to go and like research that stuff. So it was about
of all the bullshit information we keep track of, why is this not one of them?
That's what I want to know. You know, the good thing is that after like sitting on the internet for about a month or so, like researching this stuff, you start getting like all these insider websites where you can track like dates and all these cool bits of information.
Okay.
So eventually I'm able to pull it together. I'm like, okay, I think I have the structure for like a fun video here.
Yeah.
And then I was like playing them. I was like, I don't know how to write about these things. I don't know what I'm going to say about them. So I just winged it. I was like, you know, I'm just going to talk about these games as if I'm talking to a friend, if that makes sense. Yeah. So like I play the game, I sit down and then I open up Word or whatever and I just go, all right, here's what I think about this. And then I do that 36 times in the space of, in this, over the course of a 3-hour video. And then at the very end, I go, okay, now that I've played all 36 of these back to back, I feel like I'm in a good position to say which is the best and which is the worst. And then when I watched the video, I was like, oh, that's cool. Yeah. I'd watch that. Yeah. So I suppose to answer your question, the reason why I do this is because nobody else bothered to. I made the videos that I wanted to see because nobody else is making them. And I think once you kind of get into it, you kind of catch a bug for YouTube. Yeah. I call it like the YouTube bug, where when I'm done with a topic, right, it doesn't matter if it takes like weeks of like sitting down and playing these games and writing and editing. As soon as I've got a video out there, like a day passes and I'm like, I need to do something else again. Yeah. I've already got ideas to think about them. And what's cool about licensed stuff in particular, right? Because I've always had a thing for licensed games. I think it's really cool that you could watch, you know, like a cartoon, or you could watch a movie, and then you could go from that to like controlling these characters in a little universe, and you have a whole game based around it. And maybe the games aren't always good, but it's really cool when you find one that is good. Yeah. Because, you know, as much as I like playing games about, you know, miscellaneous random characters, I also like playing as the people that I like watching. Yeah. Or in the movies as well. It's kind of cool. And there's just almost endless amounts of topics to cover on that. You know, that's a big thing for me. There's so much potential that has been untapped. And that's just in the licensed games. The problem with me is that I kind of went down a PS1 rabbit hole. The more I looked into the console, the more I was like, wow, there are a lot of games on this thing. And there are a lot of games that people just don't know about, aren't talking about. And I felt like at that point, it was my duty to just like get out there and show the world what they've been missing, whether it was awful or whether it was great. But the great thing about that era of gaming is that even if it's good or it's bad, it's almost definitely weird and interesting to an extent.
Yes. It's entertaining at the very least.
Exactly. It was a very experimental time in game development, like the beginning of the 3D era. Because a lot of devs, they didn't really know how to make 3D games, and they were just throwing anything against the wall to see what sticks. And maybe it doesn't always work, but I love, like, it's so different. There's so much experimentation, you know? And it's... I can't get enough of that stuff. So I guess that's what the channel is all about. Give people a way to digest all the weird stuff and all the cool things, whether it's good or bad, so they don't have to. So you don't have to play it.
Perfect.
So if any of that sounds like it's tickling your fancy, you guys got to go check it out. Sean Johnson and we're gonna keep going, but I want to say quickly that, like, you know, rest assured, Sean, like, there are definitely, I've picked up a couple games just based on the PlayStation volumes that you've been doing. Oh yeah, and I know Ozzy, who is a Region Free alumni, and he was just like, oh my god, dude, I just binge watched all this dude's videos, like, and I'm like, I know, it's pretty sick. He's like, engine racing, what is that? I'm like, I didn't know what that was, like, I'd never heard of it, you know. It's like, it's Wipeout, but it's planes, and I'm like, you know, so it's there's so much crazy shit out there, and like, this is my kind of content. This is what we need. It's like people who are playing this stuff and enjoying it and appreciating it and kind of sharing it, and not in this like hidden gem kind of way, but like just in this way where it's like, look at this weird fucking thing, man. Like, isn't this thing cool? Look at this thing. Like, isn't that nuts? You know, and so that's what it's all about. So yeah, sorry, Arnie, I just said a little more gushing, a little more, you know, it's the cult. I gotta like bring more people into the cult. That's how it works. Okay, you bring people in.
I feel it, man. I feel it. Like, I always say, these videos are for me as much as anybody else. In a selfish way, I make them because I want to know about them. It's just, if I get to share it with other people, that's cool too.
Yeah. I think my last question that I was interested in finding out, Sean, is you're talking about the way you come to this. So you see a need in the market, and you fill it. You know, you're really rising and grinding every day. Oh man. But I guess my question is, once you put that first video out, obviously, I don't know, like, to me, the first time I ever put something out on YouTube or a podcast or anything, I'm just like, it's going to the void, and it, you know, nobody might ever see this again. Yeah. But then once you start getting views and people like, oh my god, I've been waiting for this kind of content, and you realize you're not the only person who wanted to know, like, what's every Disney PS1 game ever made. What is that experience like when you're like, holy shit, like this is something that like people want, you know?
Honestly, it's still not something that I've really gotten used to. Like, I wouldn't say that I'm, like a popular YouTuber or I get a lot of views by a lot of standards. I still feel like very small scale in the grand scheme of things, and when I put a video like that out, especially the first one, because it took me about a month of like work to put together, like almost every single day. Because like I said, I was working from home, so I did have like a job. I was doing stuff, but every other waking hour of the day, I was putting it into this video. And when I put it out at the end, right, because keep in mind, it was a brand new channel, big 3-hour video. I was in my head, I was like, wow, a video this long, surely somebody's going to watch it. And then like one person would watch it a day, then another person would watch it, and I'd be like, well, this is it. I peaked, But I think what happened then is, this is when I kind of got into my head, because what you can do is you can get very defeatist about it. When you put something out into the void, you spend a lot of time with it, you put a lot of work into it, you care quite a lot about it, and then you put it out there and nobody watches it. And I think that's something that happens with YouTube for everybody when they start. It's very hard to get noticed or get any sort of success on the platform because 100%. It's super oversaturated with stuff. I have a lot of friends and buddies who like put out really what I would consider very good videos about stuff, and they almost barely get any views at all, which is a crying shame, but I think it's just the way it goes. So I was like, you know what, don't worry about that stuff. Just keep trying to make things better. Keep trying to make stuff that I myself would enjoy. I could sit down and ask my fiance to watch. She'd be like, hey, watch this video. She's like, yeah, okay. she doesn't care at all, but she'll watch it anyway. And I'm like, what do you think about that? She's like, oh, you made a funny joke somewhere. I'm like, perfect. That's all I want to know. Like, yeah.
But, thanks, honey.
Thank you. Yeah, exactly. The moral support. But eventually, like, I think what kind of worked for me is somebody shared one of my videos on Reddit and it got a bit of traction on it. And it was just one of those things where one simple thing like that got enough people into the channel for, I think, YouTube to be like, hey, let's start sharing some of these videos around a bit. Not to like a huge degree or anything, but people watch them. And I think the main thing for me was that when somebody would watch a video, they would come back for the next video, and then they'd come back for the next video. So when I was seeing that people would be like, hey, I'm looking forward to the next video, or I'm great to see you get a new video out, that to me, I was like, oh, wow, this is wild to me. It's
pulling on your, tugging on your
collar.
I
was like, I got a bit nervous about it because I was like, wow, I didn't think you weren't meant to watch these. that wasn't the plan, But I kind of just thought to myself, if I get a kick out of this stuff, surely other people have to as well. The only thing that I really have to worry about or have to do is just to try and make it presentable, because I've watched enough YouTube to kind of know what I think is good and what I think is bad. And like, I mean, I come from the school of angry video game nerd, like I'm sure a lot of people do, But I also come from the school of like Classic Game Room and the likes of, the One Up podcast and like Jeremy Parish and all these like people who I feel are really respectful towards games, if that makes sense. And I've always been interested in the games more so than the people behind them. Yeah. So whenever I put out a show, I'm like, this isn't about me. This isn't like, I'm not going to do a skit. I'm not going to pull in like, oh, here's my buddy you've never heard of, and he's going to do a 20-minute song and dance at me. I just want to be like, here's a cool game. We're going to talk about the cool game. That's the show, And I figured, I was like, this is what I like. This is what, I've come to enjoy over the years. I'm sure other people enjoy that too. So if I just try to cultivate that kind of mindset and that ideology behind the videos, maybe people dig it too. So, I've been doing it for about 1.5 years and it's growing steadily, and I couldn't be happier. It's still a bit surreal. I'll put it that way.
Yeah. That's awesome, man. But now that we've sort of dug into, a little bit of your background so people get to know you a little bit, let's get into these licensed games, huh?
Oh, yeah.
So obviously, you pick good, you pick bad. You're gonna start with the good. Nobody wants to end on a positive note ever,
Correct.
right?
What?
Like the world is so good and perfect that we're all just so happy all the time. We're like, yeah, I need some negativity in my life. So we're gonna start off with the positive, get that out of the way, and then we're gonna go into the juicy details of the bad ones. So Mike, why don't you kick us off with a good licensed game? Quote unquote.
Boy. So in honor of Sean Johnson being with us and how he primarily sort of champions the PlayStation 1 library, definitely wanted to pick a PlayStation 1 game for this licensed game. Although to be fair, I know Sean, you're sort of dabbling in other stuff. Really dug the video on the on Dreamcast fan translations. That was super sweet. So I have picked one, and again, for the purposes, just set the ground rules. When we're talking about licensed games here, like anything goes. We're talking about anything across all consoles, and as well as it can be from anything. It doesn't have to be from a movie or from comic book property. It could be from all kinds of stuff.
You can do Charles Barkley's "Shut Up and Jam" Gaiden.
You can do Kool-Aid. You could do Kool-Aid Man. You could do Kool-Aid Man if you want to.
Oh my God, that's right. There was a Kool-Aid Man.
It was absolutely. There was
you
a
could
Fido.
Chase the Chuck Wagon.
Now I'm just kind of yelling out shit that I just remembered, and like Fido Dido. There was a Fido Dido prototype.
The 7-Up game,
yeah. Fido Dido.
Wasn't there one for Bill Clinton's cat? Like, wasn't there a Socks the Cat?
Socks the Cat. Yeah. I don't think it didn't come out. That and Fido Dido, they were like prototypes, and you can probably find them online. But anyway, okay. PS1, let's do it. So my first one, and this is. I'm going to be honest, okay? It's good in quotation marks. And I'm going to talk about Danger Girl, man. I'm talking about Danger Girl. So Danger Girl was originally a comic book series that was created by J. Scott Campbell and Andy Hartnell, and it started in March 98. And basically, it's kind of like this mix of James Bond, Charlie's Angels, and Indiana Jones. I'm making it sound a lot cooler than it actually is. It's late 90s as fuck. It's Spike TV as hell, man. It's really corny. And I played it in the day, and it was and I'll be honest, it was probably just because I was 18 years old and I was like, ooh, comics and babes and guns and stuff. I figured, well, what's the harm? What's the harm, right? And essentially, it's a Siphon Filter clone, and there were a lot of them back then. So it's a third-person shooter, and which has some elements, kind of stiff, janky controls, and it has sub-elements of like action and shooting. It has quick-time event sequences because, of course, it does. And boy, are those ever fun!
Those are necessary.
And it has like kind of really sort of poorly done scripted and ill thought out stealth sequences and
top-notch voice acting.
I'm selling it. I'm selling it right now. I know. But anyway, I know I'm jumping around a bit, so let me set the stage a little bit more. So you play as Abby Chase, but you also play as two other operatives in Danger Girl. So Danger Girl is like, and by the way, you might be thinking, oh, okay, so it's like Charlie's Angels, James Bond, Raiders of the Lost Ark. Like, what's kind of the story? Like, how does it all is it some kind of like operative? And I'm like, no, I already just told it to you. Like, that's it. Like, it's there's nothing complicated. It's three quote unquote babes like Charlie's Angels, and they're like James Bond because they're secret agents, and they fight like quote unquote Nazis who are going after artifacts to take over the world. That's the plot. Like, and all of it, there's nothing more interesting or more layered than that. So I guess, J. Scott Campbell and Andy Hartnell were just like, we like these three things, and that's it. And that's just what we're going to do. So, like, don't go looking for anything more than that, because that's all it is. And sorry, Artie, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, I watched some gameplay of it.
Yeah.
And I was shocked by two things. One, I was shocked by how like sparse everything was. Cause, even though this is like PS1 stuff, I was still like, they could like, I've seen Crash, I've seen Spyro, you could put stuff in the environment. Whereas this was like one building every like 20 feet. And the second thing was the fucking amazing voice samples. Every time she would approach some like masked individual, they'd be like, shooter, but in some like Atari 2600 quality voice module,
absolutely
voice
bit crushed
B-17 bomber style.
Exactly, almost exactly like that.
Bit crushed to shit. I mean, you gotta Arnie, you're touching on something that I love about the PlayStation, okay? Because I was playing, it was a possible choice. I was playing Death Trap Dungeon on PlayStation 1, and I realized as I was playing it, I was like, this game sucks, okay? Like, it's not very good, but it somehow has insane atmosphere, even though it's this corny orc running at you, and the main character is wearing a leather thong because of course she is, and it's just like, this is so stupid. But at the same time, I was like, why is there still atmosphere? And it's obvious. It's because you can't see shit. Okay, like everything past a certain point is just black. It's just void. And so if you just do, I shouldn't say if you just do that, but like we all know there's so many games, like Silent Hill is always the one that comes up, like that use those limitations to create this kind of atmosphere. And there's so many games on the PlayStation that do that. And it's kind of why I love them so much, because there's this weird, it's creepy. There's this weird, unsettling kind of thing to all of it, and whether that's from that culling that happens with the backgrounds and the render distance, or whether it's the janky animations and it makes you feel like they're these awkward marionettes and uncanny like whatever it is, like there's these things about it that just make it kind of creepy and unsettling and memorable for that reason. So I mean, let me get through the characters, because holy shit. Okay, so Abby Chase, I mean, all right, that's fine, I guess. I mean, she's just sort of the American. That's all.
She's the party dude.
Like, she's the American. She's like all business and like, oh, I'm plucky and whatever. Sydney Savage is the sassy, vivacious danger girl from Australia. So hey, our Australians out there, represent.
I could tell because her name was Sydney.
Yeah. Oh god, I didn't even notice that until now. Fuck.
You know how you name your child after the capital city of whatever country you're born in?
That's true. Like just my friend Ottawa. My friend Ottawa Jones. So she dresses in black leather and has a whip, and like whatever, man. And by the way, like. By the way,
Kelly, this is a secret agent.
I know, secret agent.
I mean, I see the disc art here, and that pretty much sets the tone of the whole game.
Yeah.
So.
And by the way, none of this is like, does that make her a better secret agent to have a whip? Like, of course not. Like it's, so the leader is Deuce. That's his name. His name is Deuce, and he's basically a Sean Connery kind of clone with this really terrible accent in the voice acting. He's like, okay, Abby, well, have you got your pack and everything you need? And you're just like, fucking shit.
You became Shrek for a second there.
I was, dude, this was Shrek before Shrek. And like the one that always gets me, man, is they have a hacker. Because of course they have a hacker, right? They have to back then.
Elite Hacksaw.
Her name is Silicon Valerie.
That is unironically amazing. I cannot tell you how much I love that.
So
there's just one guy at a production meeting.
Yeah, I'm mad I didn't come up with that.
Right. So
there's just one guy at a production meeting who slides a piece of paper over.
Yeah. Oh, like face down. They turn it over. They're like, it's like looks at the president. You're fired. Looks at this guy.
If it was me, I'd be like, I'd approve the budget for this game immediately. It's like, just hand me that paper. I'd be like, how much money do you need? It's happening.
Yeah. So anyway, this game, I mean, I've already talked a little bit about it, but just like to run through it, there's these awkward CG cutscenes everywhere, like classic that era PS1 of pre-rendered cutscenes where like the faces just look grotesque and they're doing these weird these just absolutely bonkers expressions. And I think, but all of that aside, okay, I'm putting all the crappy stuff. All the crappy stuff.
Yeah, what's the good part? This is one of your good games, man.
I know it is, and it's like, I mean, and I'll be honest, a big chunk of it is just kind of silly nostalgia because I just remember playing it, and it was one of those games that I knew it wasn't good. Like even then, I knew it wasn't good, but it was one of those games I kind of grew to love it and enjoy it because you're fighting through it, and it's kind of all you had. Like it's all you had at the time, and that is something I know. That's something that old heads. You know, like, and you guys too, I'm sure, like, obviously I shouldn't age myself that much. I'm not that much older, but us old heads, we understand this. Like, we understand that there was a certain point in time where it was like, that's what you had. Like you had that game and that's what you played, you know? Yeah. And so for me, you kind of learn to love that. And that's sort of like other licensed games, like Wolverine on Nintendo. Like I learned to love that game and get really good at it, weirdly enough. And like, don't you love that when you're like good at a game that other people cares might not about? Be?
Yeah.
And all of a sudden people are like, fuck, that game's impossible. Fuck that game. And you're like, really? Like, oh, it's not that bad, you know?
If only I had dedicated hours of my life to something popular like Super Mario 64 or something.
Yeah, never played it. I never heard of it. So
instead I'm a big old bass 2 kind of guy.
Hell yeah, dude. Dude, that soundtrack when you're catching a fish in big old bass, holy fuck. Dude. It gets hype. It's just
they popped off with that.
I know.
They really did.
That guy was just like, fuck it. I do want to give a special shout out to the bomb defusing mission in this game. Where you're playing as JC, she's the new character. She's the character that they just added for the video game.
Gotcha.
And
they needed a hook to draw people in,
I guess. Yeah. So like she's the mechanic. She's the tomboy. And so basically like there's a bomb defusing mission where you have like 10 minutes to awkwardly with pseudo tank controls navigate on these thin girders where if you fall you're dead. Surrounded by enemies that you can't see in vertical areas, aiming awkwardly in first person with the shoulder. It's beautiful. It's a thing of beauty. And at the same time, you're running like a moron to try to defuse bombs. I liken it to the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles dam scene. It's a lot worse than that. It's a lot worse than that. But anyway, so it goes full Raiders of the Lost Ark by the end. There's Nazis. People are exploding, turning into demigods. You know, like a special shout out to the level names. I'm just going to say the last one. The last mission is called Cat Fight to the Finish. And it's all stuff like dangerous curves ahead. And,
oh my god.
Oh man.
Hell yeah, dude.
You're
really putting me in like a very specific vibe. I can feel the year this game was made.
It's Spike TV, Slam Ball, MXC. Yeah. Like this is the age. This is the era. It never got better than that. It totally did. It was a dark time for all involved. I know I'm not selling it, and it sounds weird, but for real, like I still really enjoy the game, and like I just really wanted to talk about it, and just kind of it. I think it threads that fine line of kitschy charm where you still will have you'll have a big old smile on your face playing the game, no matter how kind of silly it is. Because there are like cool little set pieces. There's like an Arctic base that you go to. You start in a jungle, this kind of like underground military bases. There's a museum caper level where you have to like dodge lasers and kind of do all this stuff to steal these artifacts and everything. Like it really is this mix of all those things. So that's the thing, is as much as I'm ribbing on it and I'm dunking on it justifiably so, there is this through line of like kind of tongue-in-cheek. I mean, obviously the guys making it knew it was silly. Like, you don't call somebody Silicon Valerie and expect to be taken seriously. So but it really
90s?
Yeah, in the 90s, baby. Yeah, you're right. Late 90s especially. But it's just like
that guy's probably like the executive vice president of Marvel.
Don't remind me, man. Now. Don't fucking remind me. Honestly,
that guy probably makes like $3 million a year.
Yeah.
Now.
But yeah, if you dig those things and you got that kind of like sensibility about it, check it out, man. And it's also it's very reasonable to find online physically. I actually had 2 copies of the game at one point because one copy I didn't have the manual, and I rebought it just so I could get the full manual that had all these glorious comic panels that I was just like, oh, this is what I needed in my life. And but yeah, so that's Danger Girl, and that's my pick for a good one.
If that's a good one, I can't wait to hear the bad one.
Oh, buddy, I can't wait to talk about the bad one. I'm very excited about the bad one.
Just real quick, I'm gonna assume. Gonna assume, Kelly, that you've never played this. Is that correct?
This, I mean, I've seen the cover art and everything else, and that's a game I'd be like, that's not for me, for sure.
Yeah, no.
This is not the game that had the Charlie's Angels women on the front, and then it was Castle Shikigami instead when you put them.
Oh, wow. Mobile Life Force.
Mobile Life Force.
What about you, Sean? Any experience with this game at all?
You know, I've seen clips of it, and I am amazed at how much it very clearly looks like Siphon Filter. Like, like down to the UI, the way that you target enemies in the game, it is very clearly Siphon Filter. But I think the thing that interests me the most about Danger Girl is the guys who developed it, N-Space, right?
Yes.
They dabble in the old licensed games quite a bit.
Mm-hmm.
Yep,
and it might not surprise you to find out that they also worked on the Duke Nukem PS1 games, Land of the Babes,
oh my God,
and Time to Kill.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So I feel like that kind of, I suppose, style of game and humor might kind of meet somewhere in the middle between it. But more
we
importantly,
need N-Space. They were like, we want these guys. We need these guys.
But more importantly, they also made the Rugrats games.
Oh my God!
Which I quite love.
This is the classic video game developer thing where it's like you'll be reading through like their like their bibliography or whatever, and it'll just be the most insane set of games that make no sense.
It is like Rugrats, Die Hard Trilogy 2, Duke Nukem Land of the Babes, Mary Kate and Ashley, Magical Mystery Mall. Like that is talk about range.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. They were like, we can have a little bit of Duke Nukem as a treat if we make 2 Rugrats games.
Yeah, exactly.
No.
All right. But what we're going to do now is we're going to take a quick break, and then we're going to come back with the rest of our good picks. So see you on the other side, guys. And we're back, still talking licensed video games, still talking the good, quote unquote. I do the fingers as if anybody can see this.
I know, I did it too. It's pretty bad.
The thing is, it's my Hispanic heritage. It like does not allow me to not talk with my hands,
right?
Even though I'm like, this is an audio medium, sir. But people understand. There's a certain joie de vivre that you put behind it when you're using your hands. But Kelly, tell me, what is your idea? We know what Mike's idea of a good licensed game is. I'm assuming yours is maybe a little different.
Maybe slightly different. I grew up in a basically... We wouldn't be allowed to even rent licensed games, pretty much. Because when me and my sister first were able to start renting games, we rented shit. We would get it home, play it for like 5 minutes, and then my parents would feel like they didn't even get the rent. We didn't even get the rental money out of it because we would just. So they were like, no, you can't rent these games anymore. You know, anything that's licensed or anything else, because the ones that we did get were shit. So for years.
People need to realize that children are dumb.
Yeah.
They should not be allowed to do it.
Oh, it has Mickey Mouse on the front. This is going to be fun.
Wait. Wrong.
Yeah, it was Mickey Mousecapades or something where you have both you and Minnie in one jumps, and if Minnie fell in, you still died. It was like, what the hell? So that was the first game we rented, and probably the last one too. So I wasn't able to see many licensed games during that first era. But then Super Nintendo. When The Lion King came out to theaters, I fell absolutely in love with the movie. I think I saw the movie in theaters 5 or 6 times, and I would drag whoever I could to the movie theater. So I had to make a case for why I could rent the Lion King video game. So I didn't own the game until many, many years later. The first time I ever played it was through a rental. Got it home, and I loved the game. I know now it got a lot of really good reviews at the time, which is why I could make that case of, hey, this game's gotten really good reviews, so I can rent it, right? But it also had the reviews of being extremely difficult.
Yeah, right. Yeah,
and I can remember playing the first stage super easy, and then the second stage where it's got the music for "I Just Can't Wait to Be King" playing in the background, and you're trying to jump and get monkeys to swing you around through trees and everything else, and you have to ride an ostrich and double jump and try to get through. Some people,
I never made it past that.
Some people liken that to the Battletoads tunnel. It's not. I didn't find it that way bad. I did get through that level even back when I was a kid.
Insane.
But
that's amazing.
A lot of people think that game is just way too hard. When I was researching this game for this episode, basically they said that Disney went to Virgin Interactive and went to Westwood Studios, and they said, we don't want people to be able to beat this game during a rental, so make it hard. And they definitely did do that.
Oh, they did. They did.
But at the same time...
Imagine me, Kelly. Like, I'm playing this on a Sega Nomad. I'm like putting my face on this thing. I'm just dying over it. Because there's that one jump. Oh, the jump I'm talking about. There's like this one jump where it's like, I think it's like the first or second time you have to double jump. And it's like within like 2 pixels that you have to make it or you die immediately. Right. And I could never nail that jump.
Yeah. I can remember I got through all of the Kid Simba stages when I rented it.
Yeah.
But once I got to adult Simba, and he controls, it's like he did gain like 200 pounds, but he just controls so differently. And while it was still fluid controls, it was just too different for me in trying to get the fight mechanics down and everything else.
Yeah.
But luckily for me, there was a invincibility code.
There you go.
And cheat.
And near the end of my rental period, I was like, I want to see the end of this game. So thankfully, I had all the gaming magazines that told me what to do. And code Barry on the front screen will get you the invincibility. So I did, and invincibility and a level select. Which is a good thing.
I'm going to have to censor this. Disney's not going to be happy about this.
But there was still one level that I had to skip past to get through the game, because while you were invincible, you could still die to lava. And anyone who's played the adult Simba part, there's one level that is based on a part of the movie that got cut out where he's in a volcano. And there's rocks chasing him, and you can fall into lava and everything else, and invincibility wasn't going to save you from falling into lava. So getting through that stage was impossible for me back then.
That's such a nice treat that like a part of the game was something that wasn't even in the movie. I mean, usually that's the big joke, because it's like, I don't remember this happening in the movie. Like, I don't remember like you'll be playing like something random and all of a sudden you're fighting robots or zombies and you're like pretty sure Aladdin didn't have zombies. Like, pretty sure.
It's a dream sequence.
Yeah,
that's right.
It's like,
this is the bit where when Aladdin was sleeping in the movie, this is what happened.
Yeah.
Through the magic of Mode 7, we can show you this now.
Yeah. Exactly.
Again, that guy's running Sony now, probably.
Fucking God.
But man, yeah, it's like looking at footage of this, and I've never played the game, but like looking at footage of it and just seeing what people have talked about it. Again, that second stage, not to get too specific, I look at that stage and I'm just like, I'm having an anxiety attack, and like looking at these monkeys throw you around, and like, so props to you, Kelly, because like I know the feeling when it's like, oh, that's not that bad, but like I'm the one on the other end who's just like, this looks like my nightmare. And then I look at the later and the adult Simba stages, when I watch footage, it's just adult Simba slapping. He's just slapping animals.
He's just like slap fighting everybody.
He's just like slap, like kind of going. And I'm just like, this looks, it's that era of Sega Genesis Disney games that are, in terms of presentation, like insane, like off the chart in terms of the animations. I mean, for the quality at the time, like I'm not saying aesthetically you would enjoy it now or then, but like in terms of replicating the mood and the vibe with the tools they had, it's like you can't get any better than that. But I don't know. I mean, Kelly, does it do that thing that all Genesis platformers of that ilk do, where as soon as you sort of turn from left to right, like there's like just this massive seizure as the camera just yanks left and right and up and down as you're kind of moving, or is it pretty stable?
I don't remember having any problems with it, so it wasn't bad enough that of course at the time I was so enamored with Lion King that anything, it was like, oh, there's the music, and oh, he says everything the light touches is our kingdom. Oh my God, it's voice acting in a video game. This is amazing.
It's really cool.
Oh yeah, that's just wild.
Yeah.
Oh dude, it was, I don't know. I'm glad you picked this one because I also played it when I was a kid, and I definitely enjoyed it for the 2 levels I played. I think I did beat the second level maybe one time, but I did not make it past that.
Yeah.
And I'm glad I didn't make it to the lava level, because that was the same level that kept killing me in Aladdin, which I don't know if you've ever played that one, but on the Super Nintendo version, you have to ride the carpet out of the cave.
Mm-hmm.
I fucking died to that shit. Like
that era of Disney games were just hard. It didn't matter what you were playing it on, like Super Nintendo or Genesis. It was tough. But it was like you said, they were really, for like the time that they came out, they're beautifully presented. Like I remember that second stage, not just because it was difficult and I get an anxiety attack thinking back to it, but that's also probably the most like aesthetically pleasing level in the game.
So colorful.
Oh yeah,
so colorful.
With the like, if there was ever a place where I had to keep dying and restarting, I'm glad it was that level at the very least,
Right. Yeah.
You get you get to hear the intro of that song.
And it's like, oh God, not again.
Fucking banging.
But this is what's cool, right? Is that like it doesn't have to be like something can be near and dear to you, and it can be like a good game.
Yeah.
Just because you don't see all of it, necessarily, or you still haven't conquered it. There's still so many cool memories you can have with it, especially with those older, more difficult games. And I love that you brought up the whole Blockbuster thing too, Kelly, because we talked about that before. Like,
oh yeah, I didn't ask you, Kelly. Are you a Blockbuster or a Hollywood Video family?
Oh, we were a Blockbuster, definitely. Yeah.
Of course.
Had the game room in the back of the Blockbuster and just sitting there for hours.
Yep.
Because I was in there. The Japanimation section and rent.
Sean, not to sound like hokey North American, but like in Ireland, like when you guys would rent a game, like was it basically just kind of like the similar setup, like you would get it for a few days? Like did you like it was just like you would rent it in a video store, or would it have its own like dedicated shit? Like would you have your own like game shop that you could go to and rent shit, or like how?
Yeah, absolutely. We had 2 major chains for renting stuff over in Ireland. We had a place called Extravision, and we had a place called Chartbusters, which is essentially just like Blockbuster. And I mean, renting games was such a huge part of my childhood, because I would get like, I suppose pocket money, I guess you would call it, like a small amount of money, and I would use that money to buy 2 things: a game magazine with a demo if I could, and then I would rent out a game as well. And whenever I would rent out a game, I would walk in and I'd be like, I'd see the most violent game that they have, and I'd be like, can I get that one? And then my mom would be like, no, and she'd pick up the cutest game she could find and be like, you're getting this one. And God bless the woman, whatever the cute game was, it was definitely the best game on the shelf. She'd be like, here's Jumping Flash, or here's cute platformer, and I'd be like, I don't want to play this, and I'd go home and like, this is the best game I've ever played. How'd she do it? How does she always do it?
It's like Clonoa.
I was like, shit. She's like, there's a nice cat with a hat on this, buy it. I was like, all right, cool. But like, I would get like 1 or 2 games a year, birthday and Christmas. That was basically it, you know. But because of renting games, I got to play so much stuff. You know, even if it was only for a couple of days. Like they had some good deals. You could get a game for like 7 days for £5. Back in the pound days. And like a week's a long time to play a game.
It is.
So I think when I was renting, they'd give it to you for like 3 days for like $5.
If it was new, you'd get it for about 3 days. But they had like the old games that nobody wanted. And I'd be like, if I'd see an old game for like 7 days, I'd just go for it. You know, I'd take the risk. Why not? And it, you know, and it worked more often than not. Even if I hated the game, I'd play through it out of principle. I guess this is why. I guess this is why I am the way I am now.
Exactly. There you go.
I ain't wasting money. I ain't wasting money.
So ultimately, Kelly, I just want to know before we move on: did you finish it? Did you finish it within the allotted time?
I finished it thanks to the cheat code, but that's about it. But
a win's a win.
Yeah.
In my book.
In the final boss, because you do have to toss him over the cliff. And there's like, he'll keep moving around. You can basically, you hit him until he's stunned for a minute, and then you have to try and position yourself where you can throw him off the cliff. But I was terrible at getting him positioned, so it probably took me 20 minutes or so to beat the final boss when it should have taken like 30 seconds because I just couldn't position Scar properly to push him off of Pride Rock. So, but yes, I did beat the game.
You didn't want to murder your uncle violently?
No.
Fuck that, man. Eat him over
in 16-bit form.
There you go. All right. Well, that's 2 down. So now we're moving to the guest of honor, Sean. What's a good licensed game? Now your opinion, I value 50% more because you have credentials.
Yes,
that's cool. And I'm gonna start things off by giving another quote unquote good licensed video game.
Oh, here we go.
So today I'm going to talk about a little game called Xena Warrior Princess. On the PS1. And the reason why I want to talk about Xena right now, look, Xena, it ain't the best game in the world, okay? Let's just get that out of the way. Right?
Sure. I don't believe that for a second.
I ain't coming here to tell you that it's the best licensed game ever made. But I am coming here to tell you it is a licensed game that will surprise you by how much better it is than you probably think it is. Because you look at a game like Xena, you even think of a show like Xena, right? Xena is, for lack of a better term, a bit hokey.
Yeah.
It's a bit cheesy. The whole kind of Hercules Xena lineage of TV shows, all the way down to Young Hercules with Ryan Gosling. It's all a bit cheasy, you know?
Oh my God,
I forgot about that.
Hercules.
Oh my God, I forgot.
I watch the opening to Young Hercules at least once a week, just to be like, wow. Wow, I can't believe they did that. But, you know, like, I like stuff like that. I like cheesy things. I like hokey things. I like, you know, you can watch something kind of relaxing and laid back, doesn't take itself too seriously, and it just kind of has, like, you know, a cool girl is just kind of kicking ass. You know, that's I'm into that. That's some good stuff. So when you see a game like Xena on your shelf, right? Let's go back to the rental store, and you're like, Xena Warrior Princess. This can't be good, can it?
No.
But let's find out. We'll try it out anyway. And you take it home, right? And you start playing it, and the entire way through, you're just expecting it to be an awful game, a janky mess, poorly made, a rushed cash grab. But something magical happens. You're having fun.
Yeah.
You're like going through the first level, and you're like beating up dudes, and it's really fun. And not only is it fun, but like Xena's got loads of cool moves. She's doing like really cool sword flourishes. She has like combos and like can backflip and throw a chakram. And then it just never stops being good.
Yeah.
It's mind-blowing to me. And I suppose just to kind of break down what the game is, right? You could kind of call Xena in a way almost like a proto God of War in a way. It's like a hack and slash game. It's like if you combined a God of War with maybe like a Golden Axe or something. You just run through these kind of interesting, linear but kind of open levels, collecting like potions and weapons and other things. Goons come out, you wail on the goons, they have little health bars that go down, and you just move through the level, just continuously doing that. There's aspects of platforming, there's a few things to find, there's a few things to pick up, but it's just one of those games where it completely punches above its weight almost the entire way through it, you know? It's like, it's a very competently made video game. And when it actually comes to like beat 'em ups and like hack and slashes, I'd honestly say it's like one of the most enjoyable on the console still to this day. Like if you take it into consideration for what it is and like compare it to games that are, meant to be good and meant to be fun. Like I've played a lot of beat 'em ups on the console that are like, they're fine. They play pretty well. I've played ones that are also very bad too. I'd say Xeno like wipes the floor with a lot of these. Oh, yeah. And there's just something about it where the entire time you're like, this is a Xena game. Why is this as fun as it is, Yeah. So you got those aspects where like just the beat 'em up stuff is good. But then you're like, each level kind of has like really cool designs and is like very different from the last. You're going to these lovely snowy plains. You've got like volcanic caverns. You're on top of like, Greek runes fighting like weird, strange monsters. And then you have like cool boss battles where you're fighting against giants and they have like, mechanics and weird hit points and stuff that you need to utilize. You need to throw a chakram to hit a big giant in the eye, and then you have to start slashing at his hands while he's hanging on the side of a cliff. And you're like, this is freaking Xena, dude. And like the entire, like it's a nice breezy game. It takes about, roughly about an hour and a half to 2 hours to beat. But it's just one of those, games where like more effort was put into it than it probably needed. And it's just a fun time from start to finish. Every time you get a new weapon, like you have your sword and your shield, you could pick up like a bow staff and you start attacking with it. Xena's doing like all these cool flips and like twirling the staff around. Like you could have like the most basic attack animation, but instead she's just doing cool stuff nonstop. Yeah. That's dope. It's really cool. And I think this is just why the game kind of stands out to me so much, because no licensed game have I played on the console that I expected to be worse than this one. It turned out to be better than it ever possibly could have been. Yeah. Now, at the same time, right, is it the prettiest game in the world? No. I would say if you look at the cutscenes in particular, this game might have some of the worst looking cutscenes I've seen in a game, which in a way might kind of adds to the charm too. Yeah. It's one of those games that when you boot it up and you watch the first cutscene, it really sets you up for it being bad, let me tell you. Yeah, and, okay. And they don't get any better as the game goes on. But between the places it brings you, between like the cool voice acting, which is the people in the show.
That's great. Yeah.
It has cool little like quirky things as well. Like there's one bit that I always remember in the first level. There's like a shark hanging up. Basically, we've caught a shark, we've hung it up. And if you start hitting the shark, right, like anchors and like surfboards start coming out of it.
Oh, that's so good.
Like the people who made this game were like, we're just going to have fun doing this, which is a bit strange. And I think that's kind of it. It was a game that I think the people who are making it were like, let's not take this too seriously. Let's just try and make a fun beat 'em up hack and slash, kind of like a throwback to an older style of game. Yeah. But, Xena will fit into that mold, so why not do it?
Yeah. So I never realized there was a PS1 Xena game, because the only Xena game I ever saw was the N64 one. Like I've seen that one 100 million times, and I don't know if it's just a different port of the same game.
The N64 one's a fighting game.
Oh, good. Yeah. I'm glad I didn't get that one then.
I've never played that. You see, the N64 has a Hercules game and a Xena game. Which I was intrigued by, because I can imagine the Hercules game probably isn't great. But once again, this is the same thing with Xena. I would imagine the Xena game on PS1 probably isn't great until I played it, and I was like, this like, if I wanted to sit down and I wanted to kill like an hour and a half, I wanted to play a nice, fun, breezy game where it's a bit of a power fantasy. You're just going up and you're just beating up dudes as a cool warrior chick. That's the game to do it with.
That's my daily life. So
this is it. It's like what if Danger Girl, but it was real?
Yes.
What if Danger Girl, but it was good?
Yeah. Well, Danger Girl is good, but this is the thing. I'm not going to go out and pretend like it's, an amazing game by any stretch of the imagination. But as far as a game that like punches above its weight and gives like not just a good experience for fans of the show, because there's lots of throwbacks to the show. You'll come across a lot of familiar characters. It's not only does it give to them, the people who are actually going to buy this game, but it gives them a fun game as well. And I think that's one of the big things that licensed game miss out on. They either kind of feel slapped together and don't really contribute to the actual, product that it was based on. Mm-hmm. And they also don't provide a really good gaming experience. This somehow manages to do both of those. And I feel like if you can get even like a half decent level on either of those bits, you've got a pretty good licensed game as far as licensed games are considered. Yeah. So Xena for me is just one of those ones that really just punches above its weight in almost every aspect. And I think, even if you're not into the series or Xena, which you probably should be, Lucy Lawless is great.
Yeah.
You could just pick it up and have a fun time with it. It's like if you went back and played, like Golden Axe or Streets of Rage or Final Fight. I feel like they're the kind of games that anybody can pick up and play and have a good time with. Simple and easy to understand, and will just give you a good time. The only thing I wish is that I had 2-player, because I feel like a beat 'em up that doesn't have 2-player is a bit sacrilegious, but I'll give it a pass for Xena. Yeah, I think it's pretty good, all things considered.
Yeah,
so
fair enough. It sounds like it does exactly what you were talking about before that a good licensed game should do. It should give you a way to transition from, I really like this show, and now I can go play this game and get what I get from the show in a different format. You know what I mean? Like, it gives you more of what you want.
Exactly, because I feel like if you're going to buy a licensed game, or even if you're going to rent a licensed game, you're probably doing it because you like the product,
Yeah.
Like if I went into a rental store and I seen, like a Sonic and a Mario and a Lion King, for example, I'm going to get Lion King because I just watched the movie, because I love the Lion King and I'd like to experience more of the Lion King. And if the game is anywhere near decent, that's just a bonus,
Yeah.
I've done that many times. Like, I remember seeing Monsters, Inc. for the first time, and Monsters, Inc. is one of my favorite movies of all time. And I went out immediately, and I had some money saved up, and I bought, like, the Monsters, Inc. PS2 game. Terrible game. Really bad. But that's what I get because I love Monsters, Inc. so much. I was willing to put that money down, and it just it doesn't always work out. So when it does, that's a nice feeling.
Yeah. You got to cherish those moments when the stars align and everything works out for you.
And Xena is one of those games.
I think you're touching on like you're touching on, I think, the reasons why all of us like dig this is because those odd moments where you're kind of playing one of these games, and it's, I don't know, there's something magic about something when it's not just that it's unexpected. It's doubly unexpected when it's like a licensed property, when it had no reason. There was no gun to their head, no artistic vision board meeting where it was like, yo, we got to make sure we got to slam it on this one. But they just do. And there's something especially fun when it's not this. It's not that this is always bad, because we all love our overambitious, crazy games. But there's something even better when it's like, you know what? Let's cover the bases, make those super fun. Let's keep it simple and just like have a good time. And like, there's something even better about that. It kind of reminds me of Terminator Resistance, which came out recently. Is a game on PS4 and PS5 that, like, it's 7s across the board. It's a rock solid 7.5. But you know what? Sometimes that's what you want, man. Sometimes I don't want someone to reinvent the wheel. I just want to have a good time, And
you give me a 7 with like Brad Fiddel's Terminator soundtrack. Yes. That's like one of my favorite games. I know I said I had a bad time with the Terminator early, but like Terminator 2 is my favorite movie of all time. That's like a growth moment for me. So when I play it, like, Resistance is 100% a 7 out of 10, but it is such a love letter to Terminator. And it's a competent game. That's for a Terminator fan, a competent game is mind blowing.
Like when you're playing, when you're playing that. Sorry, we're talking about this now, but when you're playing that ending and you're assaulting Skynet. Spoiler: in a Terminator game, you assault Skynet at the end. Sorry, spoiler. But like when you're assaulting Skynet and the soundtrack comes in, I literally paused it and I was like, They did it.
That's all they had to do.
Treon, they did it. I was like, they fucking did it. Someone finally made the game
fucking did it.
Where it was like, you are in those future scenes in the first 2 Terminator movies. Like, somebody did it. And I was like, why isn't everybody talking about this game? And they're like, oh, the Terminators act like robots. I'm like, they are robots, dude.
There's a moment when you can play a game, like any game, doesn't even matter if it's a licensed game, where you can kind of get the feeling that the people who made the game kind of just get it. And like that moment in Terminator, you could tell the people who made this game got why people like the Terminator. And linking back to Xena, Xena is such a cheesy, hokey, funny little action TV show. And they were like, let's make a little funny, cheesy, hokey action video game about Xena. Yep. And they got it. They got what makes Xena good, and they managed to adapt it into a fun video game. And I think, in spite of how easy that seems to be able, like, and how easy that should be to do on paper, not everybody does it. And when you get something like that, it's great. It's really rare to see, and it makes it a memorable video game. And that's why Xena has always been something that kind of stands out to me as like a rare example of a fun video game that pays homage to its license perfectly.
Yeah, I love that sequence you described with the, like, throwing the, is it the chakra? Sorry, I feel bad.
Yeah, the chakram, yeah.
When you throw the chakram, it's almost like Dark Sector, where it follows.
Exactly.
It follows it.
Dark Sector stole that from Xena. And that's the best part about Dark Sector.
It is. Yeah. And I was like, holy shit, they did that on PS1? Like, I was looking at it, I was like, they didn't need to do that. Like,
and it works well. Yeah, it's good.
It's exactly what you were saying. I was like, they didn't need to do that. Like, that's what I kept noticing when I was watching footage of. I was like, they didn't need to do that. Yeah. Like, they did that. Like, the Cyclops fight, where you actually throw the chakram in the Cyclops eye, because it's huge. It's like a massive model, you know, like God of War, exactly like you were saying, like proto God of War. And he gets stunned, and then you hack at his hand, so his fingers loosen and he falls off the cliff. I'm like, they didn't need to do that. That's amazing.
It feels like what people were praising God of War for all those years later. They're like, wow, look at these cool, you know, boss fights that have like interesting mechanics and stuff. And Xena was just like, we'll put that in. Why not? Why not?
Super
cool. That's
cool.
Awesome. All right. So I guess that just leaves me. Obviously.
Oh, here we go.
The best for last. And, you know, we got a Super Nintendo game. We got a couple PS1 games. My childhood was a little further into the future than that. You know, I grew up on like the Super Nintendo was my first console, but I really started developing these memories with other games. And I've talked a lot. Like, this was one of those topics that when we picked it, I was like, you know, I didn't play any stupid licensed games when I was young. I had taste. I was refined. And then I started thinking about it. I was like, fuck, man, like all of my favorite games are like, you know, like Knights of the Old Republic, like fucking Bounty Hunter. Like, I played a Wishbone game on PC that was like Wishbone Does the Odyssey. That was like one of my favorite fucking games. Even recently, like I played Scarface: The World Is Yours like last year.
We talked
about that. That's love that game.
Nah, did you play it on Wii with the chainsaw motion controls?
Oh, what?
Man, you're missing out. You're missing out.
You just blew my mind. I gotta
That's awesome. But so like without knowing it, I was like, licensed games have just been a part of my life forever.
Yeah.
And so when it came to picking a good one though, I was like, I want to do one that I haven't talked about. And once I saw it on the shelf, I was like, so easy. Simpsons Hit and Run, baby. Like,
hell yeah.
Undoubtedly, like, amongst all the GTA clones, but this is A, the weirdest, and B, the best.
Yeah.
I was like, it's because it's one of those things where, you know, it's developed by Radical Entertainment, published by Vivendi Universal, I think. This is like 2003, which I was like, I did not remember this coming out that long ago, but now I feel, you know, significantly older. And it was just one of those games where I was like, you can tell that everybody on here, A, loved the source material, and B, like, really wanted to make a fun game. Like, it was gameplay first, references, like, funny haha jokes second. And they nailed it on both fronts. I mean, obviously The Simpsons, very well-worn, trodden property. So I would not expect, like, a PS2 Simpsons game. Like, we're, like, 13 years into the run at this point. this is not the game that I was like, oh, this is the best Simpsons game, you know? Like, I was like, the best Simpsons games, we must have peaked somewhere like in season 4, you know what I mean? Like,
sure, yeah.
But with the benefit of hindsight, they were like, no, we can make something better now. And that something better was allowing you to kick any NPC that you wanted. That was the first thing I did. You start off as Homer, and I think it's like Bart or Lisa is like, or Marge is like in front of you, and you could just kick them, and they just fall on the ground, and you can keep kicking them.
That's the
just
famous...
kick them into the street, like whatever you want. I did that for like 20 minutes before I did anything else. That's
the famous story. Apparently, the first thing Matt Groening did when he was playing it and they showed it to him was he just started wailing on Marge as Homer, and he was just giggling. He was just giggling like an idiot, and I'm like,
and then you play as Marge and you beat the shit out of Homer. Like,
yeah, exactly.
I did it with everybody.
Spousal abuse is fun, huh?
That's right. Yeah,
he's like, finally what I wanted to do.
That's right.
It's like, Matt, you okay, buddy? It's like,
yeah.
Well, Matt has his own issues to deal with.
I would imagine.
But no, it's you know, it really was kind of like I imagine Xena was for people who watch Xena. Like for me, I had just gotten really into The Simpsons. Like I was watching, I bought a bunch of the DVDs of the earlier seasons and I was watching it all the time. Like The Simpsons was a thing that you on the local like Spanish channel in Puerto Rico, the 4 o'clock to 5 o'clock was The Simpsons. There's 2 episodes of The Simpsons and everybody fucking watched it. Yeah. Like you'd come home from school, you sit down. I would watch Toonami first and then I'd go watch The Simpsons.
Yeah.
So that was my like back to back of that is I'd like, oh, I just watched an hour of Dragon Ball Z. Time to cleanse the palate with an hour of The Simpsons.
That era was like peak Simpsons, not in terms of Simpsons mania, like all the merchandise and stuff, because that was more the initial wave with Do the Bartman and everything. But like it was peak in terms of everybody had kind of realized what the show actually is, and it was kind of coming into its own, and the fan base like was becoming much more rabid. The novelty had worn off, and it was kind of still in that, you know, that kind of early, that like later honeymoon phase, I think. And that's why like it was the perfect time for that. But I mean, come on, Arnie, like also give Hit and Run some props, because consider what it was up against in terms of the Simpsons library, man. There was at the time, like then too, right? Like Simpsons Backyard Wrestling. That's all I got to say, bro. And skateboarding. Oh, Jesus.
Bart versus the Space Mutants, which apparently I've never played it, but I've heard it's not terrible, is what I've been led to believe.
Simpsons really just had the arcade game. It started out hot. It got the arcade game, and then it was downhill, and it was this very, very slow but gradual uphill. I know they did like Road Rage, which was just like Crazy Taxi. They even got I think sued by Sega for doing that.
For that.
Yeah,
which, you know, it's a fun game, but
Yeah, if you're ever looking for something insane, you should play the Game Boy Advance port of Simpsons Road Rage.
Yeah.
Super impressive, all things considered.
Like, how the fuck did you do this?
Unreal. It's like when you look at the ports of Driver that came to handhelds, and you're like, how did they do this? Like, are they wizards? Like, are they fucking warlocks? Like, what? So, Arnie, but like, what were some of your favorite kind of like set piece moments? Because like, Hit and Run has some pretty iconic kind of moments in the game that you do, including the ending, which is, you know, I won't spoil it, but
I never finished it myself, actually. I always got too caught up in doing like other bullshit, even more than in Vice City and other games. Like in San Andreas and Vice City, I probably spent more time like, you know, driving around and listening to the radio than I did actually playing the game. But in Hit and Run, it was just, I was obsessively trying to collect all the costumes, like all the different cars you could do. So like if you've never played it, you basically, every level you play as a different member of the Simpsons family, except for Maggie. You never play as Maggie, which is bullshit. I want to be a baby driving around.
She drives the car in the show. Why can't I drive a car?
Exactly.
I want to shoot Mr. Burns myself. And you know, as you play, obviously, it's like one of these classic, like, it's GTA, but it's also like Banjo-Kazooie, because there's like collectibles everywhere. You're always like, there's always something to do, whether it's racing, whether it's collecting stuff, whether it's finding all the secret jumps, whether it's, you know, beating up all the characters. Like, you're always, there's like never something that's not within 5 feet of you that you can do. And like now, it's funny that I think so fondly back on it, because now it gives me anxiety. Like whenever I boot up an Assassin's Creed game and it just loads up every dot on the map of things to do, I'm like, oh, I can't play this right now. Like I need to lie down. Whereas this, I don't know if it's because it just wasn't that in your face about it, or maybe it's just the source material is much more appealing to me. But I was like, oh, what can I do? Like, I got to go around and, like, find things, you know?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
So, but it was, like, that was the most memorable part to me, was just, like, looking at all the references to the show and being like, I know what that's from. Like, I fucking know.
So many, like, different costumes and little, like, kind of gags and stuff like that they would later kind of have in the Simpsons movie game, like, that they would kind of, you know, also add in there. But I think it's pretty much, I mean, I don't want to say it's like, it's certainly not unanimous. Obviously there's people who, you know, think other Simpsons games are better, and but you know, it is pretty widely accepted objectively. It's like, man, Hit and Run was like, that's kind of the baller. Like, that's kind of the one that everybody thinks of, you know, when they think, like, I mean, that in the end, as Sean pointed out, the arcade game. I mean, the arcade game, it's funny because the arcade game kind of doesn't get, it's almost like people go, oh yeah, Hit and Run, best Simpsons game. What about the arcade game? Oh no, that one. I mean, that one for sure.
If you go back and play both of them, I think the generation that grew up with the arcade game versus the generation that grew up with Hit and Run, like, Hit and Run is at that stage where so many people love it and so many people, like, passionately love it. Yeah. I would almost argue that it might even be the most beloved licensed game, not just like the best Simpsons game, but possibly
it's gotta be
the most. Yeah, like when we all pick like good games here, like we picked, you know, quote unquote good games. I think you might have like hit the nail on the head with like the most beloved licensed game, and just it's like you mentioned, because it's not just a GTA clone. It's like an open world playground for Simpsons fans, and I know me playing it. Just like, because, you know, The Simpsons is like godlike in Ireland. We almost worship the things. If you're not hanging out with like 10 of your pals quoting The Simpsons nonstop, you're not having a good time, you know?
Oh man.
But we, you know, just getting to experience going around this lovely kind of detailed 3D world of Springfield, and getting to see places that you recognize from like the, you know, the docksides, like the little restaurants, like the tire fire and everything, the tire fire. It was just it's such a treat for fans of the series. It's such, I think it's a special game. It's quite rare to see something like that appear, and in many ways I don't think any licensed game has kind of really topped it or captured that. Like, people have tried, but Simpsons Hit and Run is just unanimously like beloved. It's so cool.
That's a really good point, man, to really think of like which is the licensed game that kind of gets, you know, typically it's Arkham, like Arkham Asylum comes up now as like when you're talking about, okay, like the greatest licensed games of all time, like people kind of bring up Arkham, but like, is it gonna have that same kind of staying power as, you know, like, because that's the thing, it really is, out of the two of them, I'm kind of like, I'm not sure. You know, because Hit and Run, I mean, I certainly like one more than the other. Yeah. But Hit and Run, like, at the time, again, that peak Simpsons culture and how it just so effectively did all that and felt really effortless. Like, it really didn't feel like it was forcing any of it. I mean, that's pretty, it's just, you know, it's bound to be important to so many people. Sorry, Arnie.
No, I was just going to say that it makes perfect sense the way Sean said it, because that's what I liked about it, right? Is that finally I can explore this town that I've been watching for so long, and I'm like dying to like see all the ins and outs of. You know, I want to go to the Quickie Mart, I want to go to Moe's, I want to go to the tire fire and jump over it in the Plow King truck or whatever, you know, like, and it let you do that. It was like, oh, do you want to be like Homer in a moo driving like, you know, the family sedan? Like,
who doesn't?
Yeah, of course. It's like
yes to all of that, please.
You get the pointer wand, you know, so you can, oh man, it's so good.
It was good. And I mean, the writing was excellent. Like the story the story is not necessarily like the most memorable Simpsons story or anything, but it's nuts. And I thought they did a really good job of writing it, delivering it. Like, that was the thing when we talk about licensed games that I notice sometimes is that you'll get a game and sometimes it'll be very obvious that there was one division of whoever was working on this or one person in particular who was really into it because it'll be really good. Like it'll be like, oh man, this game sucks, but this soundtrack is like banging. Like this guy really liked Felix the Cat or whatever the fuck it is that he was working on.
It's like I'm so inspired right now. Doing a solo.
But when everything hits at once, like the writing's on point, the soundtrack is amazing, the voice work is quality, like the gameplay works, it's just like a whole new level because it's not just. It's like the beauty of the license game that Sean was mentioning and you were talking about, Mike, and I think Kelly brought it home with when she was talking about why she wanted to play a game like The Lion King, right? It's like when you have a game, it's like, oh, I love this game. But when you have a licensed game that you love, and it's like, I also love the thing that this is based on, it's like an extra level of like, I really like this. You know, like it sticks with you in a way that like regular video, like original IPs would not, I think, in my opinion. Like it just, there's a special part of your brain that holds on to those memories in particular. But that's, I think, the way we're going to close out the good part, right? So now we're going to go, now it's time to dig in the other part of my brain that enjoys all the worst games that I play. So when we come back, we're going to talk a little bit about some of those. So stick around. We'll be right back. Into the good stuff now we got the good fuzzy feelings out of the way. Now it's time for the real shit. Mike, I'm not gonna waste any time. Why don't you just kick me off? Tell me, like, you told us your good game. Now I want to know what qualifies as the bad game for you.
So again, bad in quotation marks because there are some things I like about this, but this is definitely a bad game. This is a game that I definitely don't think you should spend your money on unless like me. So let me set it up a little bit. At one point, once upon a time, there was a little game called Def Jam Vendetta. And Def Jam Vendetta was great. It was a great game. It was a wrestling game. Aki made it. Yep. So the physics and the gameplay and the mechanics made sense, and you basically played as a bunch of Def Jam rappers beating the shit out of each other. It was glorious. It has one of the most hilarious and awesome video game box art covers ever. Yep. With the guy holding a giant medal over a ring where I think it's probably Snoop or somebody is doing a neck breaker on Method Man. It looks fucking sick as hell. And that game spawned a sequel called Def Jam Fight for New York, which is one of my favorite, like easily in my top 20 games of all time. Talked about the game before. I love it to pieces. I'm not even a big hip hop or rap guy, but I just love it. Like it's just so, the feedback, the impact, like everything is incredible. So along those lines, because of those things, I wanted to give this game a shot that just kind of snuck on to the Xbox 360 Live Store. It's also available on phones and I think on PC. But I saw it on Xbox Live. Yeah. And this game is called Way of the Dogg. So Way of the Dogg
with two G's.
With two G's. So obviously Snoop's involved because fucking, you know, this is during the Snoop Lion phase where he was known as Snoop Lion.
Oh, yeah. So Kelly, you seem confused.
Just slightly.
Okay.
Well, so Snoop decided that he was going to become Rastafarian, I believe.
I think
do Rastafarian type music, and he changed his name briefly to Snoop Lion.
Yes.
I completely missed that.
I think
iconic moment in Snoop Dogg history for sure.
I think like part of me thinks it's some kind of legal thing where it was like he, you know, changes. But anyway, whatever. So Way of the Dogg. Okay, game on 360. This game doesn't have a Wikipedia page. Let that sink in. You know you're dealing with something rad.
There's not one guy who was like, fuck, I'm going to expand this fucking stub right here.
I don't know. Maybe after
Wikipedia kept rejecting it. They need to erase any evidence.
Yeah. And so Way of the Dog is a game where it's a rhythm game. People have compared it to Elite Beat Agents. It's kind of similar in terms of its rhythm, timing, gameplay. Yeah. So basically it's a bunch of Snoop songs, and it's a rhythm game based on that. And you might think, oh, that sounds like it'd be kind of cool. It's certainly it wasn't expensive or anything. Oh, yeah, like that seems cool. Like, play that game. But what you didn't realize, and what drew me to it, is that there's a story. There's a real story to this game. There's a whole narrative, and this is what immediately drew it to me. So let me paint the scene. You're playing as a character who I don't remember his name. So that'll tell you everything you need to know. So you're basically playing as this character, and this character is a fighter. And he's playing in underground fighting rooms. Because, by the way, the rhythm that you're doing, it's a fight. So when you're hitting the rhythm notes like Elite Beat Agents, it's not a guy cheering you on or cheering somebody on like Elite Beat Agents. It's somebody having a street fight with some opponent, okay, in terms of the story. Similar to Def Jam Vendetta, it's always in these, gritty urban environments, and they're beating the crap out of each other, okay? So
yeah, you've never hung out at your friend's like fish shop where they
you've never hung out at like
all the meat.
the old meat locker, the frozen meat
warehouse
locker.
Downtown.
Yeah. And so if you do the sections correctly, you do damage on the opponent. And the more damage you do and their meter goes down, then you win. Great. You get a rating. You go on to the next stage. And then it happens again and again. So all of the rhythm interludes and games are basically fights. And you might be wondering, well, what are you fighting? What are you fighting about? Well, let me tell you. So this game, okay, you play as a character who basically is this underground street fighter, and you have a girlfriend who you really love very dearly. And at the beginning of the game, it's like, he's kind of like, I got a bit of a bad feeling about this, but this is like the big score, man. I'm going to beat this fight.
Was she one day away from retirement?
Something like that. It's like, I'm going to make a ton of money. This is the big score, baby. Don't worry about it. And then she's killed, okay, in a shootout that erupts. She's killed, and he's like, revenge! I want revenge! So what do you do when you want revenge, okay, against the evil martial artists and assassins and gangsters that have wronged you? Because in typical this era fashion, the bad guy is this sleek, cut old white man in a giant ivory tower who is trying to gentrify and sort of cleanse, gang everything. And so what do? You go to your local martial arts dojo that Stoop Lion runs.
Hell yeah.
And by the way, in every scene, he is high as fuck. Like, it's just smoke everywhere. Every cutscene shows him smoke, like weed smoke. He's got that jazz cabbage going, man. Like, he's just like, and like eyes just bloodshot. And so the whole time. By the way, side note, the voice acting of this game for the main character and Snoop, like, pitch perfect. Like, the voice, like, this is one thing. I'm not being ironic. I'm dead serious. The voice actor for the main character, he does such a good job. He does such a better job than he ever needed to. He acts it completely straight. He's like angry, pissed off, chews the scenery. He's amazing. And so every scene where they're interacting, he's like, I'm here to learn. And Snoop is like, well, all right, G, like, why don't you learn? You got to learn how to flow. And he's just saying all this psychobabble, like Eastern philosophy bullshit about like getting the flow and learning the way of the lion. And I'm like, dude, this is fucking amazing. Like, what is this? And so basically you follow this character as he's beating the crap out of everybody to finally get to, like, oh, what's at the heart of it all. But I'm just going to cut right to the good part. So you're fighting all these guys. You fight like a dirty cop. You fight like a gang leader. You fight like this. And every fight Again, main character, so pissed off. Like, he's just like, and like beats the crap out of all of them. And he's just like, whoa, who killed my wife? Or like, who killed my girl? And blah, blah, blah. And like keeps leading him further on. And then you get to the end and you lose. Like, you lose. You get to a fight you have to lose. Okay. And then this is the fucking best part. I'm not even making this up, okay? Like, so you're doing this whole thing. You're training with Snoop in between missions, but then you get to this one mission and you just lose. There's nothing you can do. You just lose.
Yeah.
And so what happens? Snoop goes, okay, you've learned everything you can for now, but now it's time for you to learn the ultimate technique. And then you meditate and go back in time to before your girlfriend got shot. So you literally am like meditating with the lion surrounded by ganja, and you go all the way back before she got killed. And then you're like, I'm here. And you're like, baby, don't stand out there. You're going to get shot. And she's like, what? And you're all like, just trust me. And then you replay the game. You do the same fights again.
What?
But they're harder. They're harder, but it's just the same game again. And I'm like, wait, so you just do it twice? Okay. And so you just do the whole thing twice. And then when you get to that scene again, you're like, I'm ready now. Like, you can't fuck with me.
And then it's like, what are you talking about?
Yeah, and, the first exactly. No. See, here's the thing: is the guy that you lose to is like the martial arts master who originally taught Snoop. So he's like, I see you've come back, and now you've done the time travel technique and then come back. And it's just, and I'm playing the game and I'm like, you gotta be fucking kidding me, right? Like, is this what you guys came up with? It's so good. And like, and again, all the cutscenes, you're beating the shit out of them, and you're like, and like, you're like, I'm not gonna let you get away with it this time. And they're like, get away with what? What are you talking about? Like, the second time through, you're like, I don't even know what. And like, you just like, blah. So that is, I mean, that's the story in a nutshell. And as you can probably tell, like, see, I was trying to make this sound like a bad game, but I'm sure everybody...
You've already sold me on this, man. I'm downloading it as we speak.
Shit, we gotta fucking get it right now.
I didn't need to hear about the gameplay.
Yeah, but essentially, like, I mean, I already said the gameplay, like, there's really nothing to it. Like, it's just kind of Elite Beat Agent style sort of game, and it's not even that specifically tight. There's not even that many tracks. There's not even that many levels. A couple little funny things that I want to point out. I already pointed out the unnaturally amazing voice acting of the main character. The other thing I want to point out, because again, like, there's not much else to this game. Like, I just told you the big selling point. But the other thing I want to bring up that always made me laugh is that the main character's facial texture never changes during the fights. It's always this smirk. Always. So what I mean by that is some of the moves in the game, when you do a quick time event, it always goes the same way. There's like, okay, a bunch of elite beat agents sort of like, sequences. Yeah. And then it always is punctuated. Think of it like a sentence. It's punctuated with this quick time event. And if you do it right, you get like bonus damage. Gotcha. That quick time event, if you do it right, he does this whack like fucking move. He'll do like, like a Tekken 2 fucking flip kit, like with like martial law. He'll do some crazy shit. But every time he does it, his face doesn't change. So he's still got this smirk, and it freeze frames, and he's like upside down, and he's like got this smirk on his face. Or if you fail the quick time event, you get fucking clocked, and he's still like got this smirk on his face as he's getting clocked by this dirty cop in a fishery. And it just cracks me up every time. I'm like, man, you guys couldn't even like just give him like an angry face. Like, they couldn't even do that. They were like, no, make him have this like shit-eating grin as he's doing this absolutely impossible Guile from Street Fighter fucking flash kick to take this dude out.
This sounds like the modern version of those games that you'd play, and then you'd get to like halfway through and it'd be like, wow, you're doing amazing. Now play on hard for the full story or whatever.
Yeah, kind of is. It kind of is. I mean, but I remember the first time I was playing it and I got through to that moment, and all of a sudden you go back in time, and I was like, you've got to be fucking kidding me. Like, this is incredible. And again, the whole time Snoop knows what's going on the whole time. So like you go back in time. This is the best part is you go back in time. And then when you meet Snoop for the first time after saving your girl, he's like, we meet again. How's it going? He's like, good to see you. And you're all like, thank you, master. And he's all like, no problem, G. Like, go do what you got to do. And I'm like, wait, how do you know that?
How does the time travel work in this game?
Does Snoop live beyond time? Like, does he live? Is he in the ocean in the storm instead of on a river? Like, is all time a flat circle to him that he sees?
Snoop was the friends we made along the way.
That's right. Snoop is the one who walks in the space between spaces.
So that's way of the dog, man. That's way of the dog.
That's honestly incredible.
I've no doubt that game is quite bad, but you've sold me on it so hard.
Yeah, you made it sound good.
I really fucked up, didn't I?
I didn't even know this game. I didn't even know this. I'm going to go make a Wikipedia article on it right now. Like it literally word for word what you said, just a transcript of it, and I'd be like, what the hell? This is amazing.
I really fucked this up, Arnie. I'm sorry.
Yeah, you did not understand.
No, I mean, my good game was like, I don't know about Danger Girl, and my bad game was like, dude, way the dog, let's fucking go. You know,
what you've done is you've sold like what is almost definitely a bad game, but you've sold it. You've made it interesting, which I think is quite a skill.
You've probably done better than the marketing team for the game did back in the day.
Which was just a very high Snoop Dogg being like, yo, play the game.
Yeah.
Please, I need money.
Oh my fucking god.
Oh yeah, all right. So good.
So there's one down. Kelly, tell me, what's your bad game? And is it worse than Mike's?
It's a game I don't think I can recommend anyone to play for sure.
Right.
Good. We're on the right track.
Yeah. This one, well, as we've already established, I was not really allowed to rent these licensed games back in the day. But I did have a supplier, and that supplier was at my aunt and uncle's house.
Always.
They for some reason always seem to buy these terrible, horrible games. Some of them weren't too bad. I mean, they did buy Metroid. It was the one way I played Metroid back in the day. But I also played The Little Mermaid on the NES, which it's a good game, but you beat it in 15 minutes and you're done with it. So, one game I was almost going to talk about today, Bugs Bunny's Birthday Blowout, but Angry Video Game Nerd covered that one pretty well, and it's a pretty well-known episode. So we'll let him talk about that.
It's the one where he pooped on Bugs Bunny's face. I remember.
Yes.
Yeah.
God, what a formative memory I had.
I know,
like,
man.
That's how you know the internet was a mistake, when you're like, what's a good memory you have from childhood? Well, I remember this guy had like a plastic butt that he put like fake poop onto a guy dressed as Bugs Bunny.
Beat the shit out of
10 million views.
Yeah. And then they also had some Game Boy games. And the one Game Boy game that they had that I borrowed from them, and I should have realized when I was like, hey, can I borrow that game? Yeah, sure. Go play, whatever. We'll get it back whenever. It was Ren and Stimpy Space Cadet Adventures.
God.
Yes.
Truly a franchise that I don't think has ever had a good game. Like, they've tried.
I don't know, man. You might be right.
And here's the thing, too. I also grew up, I believe I've mentioned this before, in a rather strict household. Mm-hmm. So there was no Simpsons. There was no anything of that. So do you think I was able to watch Ren and Stimpy?
No, there's no way.
Oh, yeah.
No way you were watching Ren and Stimpy
all day.
I was not allowed to watch Ren and Stimpy. So here I am borrowing this game for a franchise that I have never really seen or heard much on, and after playing this game for a week or however long it was, I never wanted to see Ren and Stimpy again. So,
was there some Kelly? Can I ask? Was there an element of like, ooh, I'm not allowed to watch Ren and Stimpy, but I can play the game. Ooh, this will be cool. Or was it just, oh yeah, I'll just grab that. That looks kind of cool. Like, was there any?
Basically, it was just I had a Game Boy. I had probably 2 games for it at the time, Tetris and Super Mario Land. I wanted to... we only had one TV in the house, so if I wanted to play video games when my parents were watching football and all that other stuff, I needed to be playing on the Game Boy. I wanted something new to play. So it was there. I'm going to try it out. Also, I was even back then, I was like, I want to see how many video games I can beat. And I heard this one was only 4 stages long. So surely we can get through 4 stages of
the poisoned apple they dangle in front of
Ren and Stimpy.
Yeah.
I didn't beat the first level. And
no.
And maybe there's a cheat code. I don't know. But this Game Boy, you start out and apparently the music's from the show, but I've still never seen the show. So.
Oh God, the music!
Who could listen to this and be like, "Oh yes,
this is impossible."
I detect the notes of the show.
Yeah,
this is a no. This is a no. Like when you watch the footage, you're like, no, like you can't. Like I'm with Kelly on this, bro. I can't even. Yeah.
I mean, the animation is good for a Game Boy for sure. That opening cutscene, you've got Stimpy there, and he accidentally cuts Ren's lifeline, so he's flying out into space, and you've got to try and save him.
Oh, that's cool.
But of course, you have to save him through
funny.
going through a. It's just a space hut that you're going through.
Yeah.
And
it's just space.
Trying to collect toast, and you have killer toaster ovens that are trying to kill you, and just random enemies. The very first section of the first board, there's these little tiny puddles on the floor, and they just look like part of the background, honestly. And you walk over them, and boom, there you've got life taken away. And
oh my God,
because it's a Game Boy game, and they didn't do a very good job of foreground versus background, you can't tell what you're supposed to, it's a platformer. You can't tell what you're supposed to jump on. You don't know what's going to kill you. You've got your character, Stimpy, he's spitting out hairballs everywhere, so you'd think that would be an attack, but it really doesn't do any damage. It's just... and
that's so frustrating.
And it's probably the most floaty platformer I've ever played. If you watch any footage of it, they're just floating, and it's just a slow jump and everything else.
Well, they are in space.
Well, and that seems to be they're in space, so we can forgive it. No, it's just it's not good at all.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, Kelly, I had seen a little bit of gameplay of this, but I did not for some reason look up the box art for it. Holy shit, this is... So there's no less than like 8 logos on this box art. Like the actual art, I gotta see the actual art is like constrained to like this tiny little pocket of just like Ren and Stimpy's face.
Yeah,
and then everything else has just like Nickelodeon poster included. Nintendo.
Oh my God, you're right.
There's like
Nintendo seal.
Four like at least 3 different Nintendo logos on this thing itself, which is impressive. Yeah. Holy moly.
And then I was like, I wonder what the label looks like. It's the same thing.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I never saw an instruction manual or a box for this. I just had the little cartridge to try out. And I was so determined to try and beat this game because I wanted to have another Game Boy game that I completed. I never even saw a level where you could control the other character because...
Oh, God.
I always find like a telltale thing about bad platformers is when like the most mundane objects in like a house hurt you. Yeah. So like I'm looking at just the clip of this, and it's a picture of I think Stimpy just standing in a bathroom surrounded by like multiple pieces of toilet roll, 4 different plungers and like pipes, and everything in that room is going to hurt him.
Yes.
Like he'll touch the toilet paper, that's damage. He'll touch the plunger, that's damage. And it's like I just want to have a good time. I don't want to have the bathroom. I don't want to have the bathroom give me like nightmares and like kill my character. And it's such a thing that platformers, like really bad platformers from that era, they just fall back on all the time.
Yeah,
and they added verticality to the levels too, so you're not even just trying to go horizontal. So trying to figure out where the hell you're supposed to jump, what's safe and what's not. It's just
it really seems like the kind of game where like. Again, like you were saying, the presentation, especially for Game Boy, is like solid. You look at the cutscenes, they got Muddy Mud Skipper, they got all the little musical stings, like all that is really cool. But it's like you're playing a game with a giant, for the Game Boy, like that's a giant sprite. Mm-hmm. And then if you're making that vertical, it's like, oh man, dude, like that's no good. Like this is gonna be rough. But to your point, Sean, like it's so funny how it's like that. Is you just know it's such a sinking feeling when inanimate objects that make no sense are attacking you. You're like, oh, this can be bad.
I call it like European platformer design, because a lot of the platformers that were made in Europe and in the UK, that was almost always what they fell back to. Super difficult games where everything hurts you, and the levels are also full of verticality. So it's never just the case where you walk from left to right. You get to the right of the screen and then it's like, oh, the level's not over. What have I missed? What have I got to do? And then you've got to traverse back through the most obtuse, mundane things to see how you can get out of it. And like, it's just, I've never been into games like that. It's and you know, a lot of games on the Game Boy are like that. And I'm looking at like footage of Ren and Stimpy. It is very clearly that type of game. It is does not look fun at all.
Also, in all its green glory on the mighty Game Boy screen.
Oh, amazing! I'd play that on my Analog Pocket to, you know, keep it in all of its glory. High def terribleness.
That's right.
So did you? So you kept it forever, Kelly,
no.
right? Like you didn't.
Like you
never
still own it
back.
today. I'm sure.
Yeah.
It's honestly, I tried to forget about the game for many years, but
I'm gonna buy you a graded copy of it.
Oh wow!
I'm gonna get you a 9.8 VGA.
Oh god!
All those logos in the box in mint condition.
Yeah, that's right.
The poster still inside.
Oh, it's so good.
I did look up like some of the later levels just to see what they look like, and when you play as Ren, apparently you get a slap, but if you slap at the enemies, you hurt yourself. So
what?
Yeah,
that's awesome.
Right.
It's pretty much counterintuitive.
I hate it. Oh,
and
man.
there's
that's so good.
And the mini game where you can try to get extra lives. It's basically a coin toss, heads or tails.
Yeah,
but you have to get all three right, or you get nothing. So
3.
So yeah.
Okay.
Oh my fucking god!
Fuck you, Muddy Mud Skipper.
Yeah.
What the hell? It's bullshit. Oh man,
that's fucking fantastic. That's just like, you know, the like. I wonder how much of it. But again, like, I'm tempted to be like, oh yeah, you know, it's on the Game Boy. Like, what's the ceiling realistically? But like, they did like Super Nintendo games too, and those are apparently all terrible.
Wait, what do you mean? Sorry.
The Ren and Stimpy games, like the vignettes and fucking, there was like a fireman one or something.
But at least you can see kind of more of the screen.
Yes.
Like the presentation's a little more interesting and stuff like that. Again, I am no Ren and Stimpy game stan. I'm not the one. I am not the one in the comments for Vidiots going, love this game.
Oh, amazing.
I love this game so much. Favorite Super Nintendo game of all time. Yeah, played this game so much as a kid. Like, I'm not that guy, but it's like you might have that going for it, whereas like the Game Boy, it's like, man, you better nail it. You know, like there's so many examples on the Game Boy of licensed games like that were just so deflating. You know, like the original, The Amazing Spider-Man on it, and even the first Turtles isn't immune, right? Oh, by the way, the Xena game on Game Boy Color looks kind of interesting. We were talking about Xena before.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. It looks kind of neat. It's like a bit of a Zelda clone, like a bit of an overhead.
I love when people did that. Like the Game Boy Color was a good era for that. Where I think the Game Boy Color is a bit of an unsung hero for how many cool licensed games it got. Yeah, I might talk about that in a moment when it comes to one of my picks. But the Game Boy Color had some decent tie-ins, because people were just kind of recreating older games in that licensed style, which I'm all for. I'm all for, like, just take a cool concept, a tried and tested concept, and then, you know, put Xena in it or something. I'm all for that.
So what you're telling me, Kelly, is you didn't beat a game, and you gave yourself astigmatism while you were playing it.
Pretty much.
You're just like staring intently at this thing, burning it into your retina.
And it's funny, to try and bring back some of the nightmares. I was watching some YouTube videos on this game, and I was very happy to see that there was no one defending it, as far as I could tell.
Oh, really?
Like we said, that's how you know, the telltale sign if nobody's defending it. Yeah, it's really bad.
Oh man, that's good. I love
Some
it.
guy was
That's
like, I'll
awesome.
play this
All
until I die, and like 10 minutes later, he was like, I'm done.
Dude's dead.
I'm done.
He's dead.
It's just like no answer, and it's like, dude, you there? Like just a bunch of comments like, don't do it, man, don't do it.
All right. So, fuck, man, that's really bad, Kelly.
Right.
But I think maybe me and Sean will give our best try at topping that after we take this break. So stick around. We're gonna come back and close it out.
Power. And then there are beats that are less clear. You don't care. It's just noise, right? The noise of the city. That turf war that doesn't matter to you. So you care about two things. Your woman and the fight. You were the best fighter in the city, Jones. Everyone knew that. And just like that, everything changed. Heard a lot about you, little cub.
People talk.
What brings you to my temple?
I want to learn the way.
We begin your training immediately.
All right, folks, we're back.
I know you hear the music now.
We're gonna close it out now. Sean, I know we're all eagerly awaiting. Tell me what you've picked. Continue this cornucopia of catastrophe or whatever. I'm trying to alliterate and I can't.
That was nice. That was good.
Yeah.
So the game that I've picked for our bad selection is a game that. Now, remember the last game we talked about, Xena, where I said I thought that game was going to be bad and it turned out to be very good.
Yeah.
This was a game I thought was going to be very bad. And I really, really wished it was going to be good. But it turned out even worse than I expected it to be, which broke my heart a little bit.
Of course, yeah.
And that game is Sabrina the Teenage Witch, a Twitch in time for the Sony PlayStation.
God damn it.
Oh,
And
Lord.
you might wonder, well, why would you even play such a game like this? Why would you attempt to try a Sabrina the Teenage Witch video game? What were you expecting from it? And what I say to you is that Sabrina the Teenage Witch is unironically one of my favorite TV shows of all time. As a kid,
show.
Growing up watching that show, I adored it. You know, it's one of those comfort shows that I could sit back and watch. I think the writing holds up really well. I think it's very funny. I think the characters are very likable. Almost everything about the show I enjoyed when I was a kid, and I enjoy to this day. It's maybe not the prototypical like boy show to watch, but like it was on all the time. I'd watch it whenever it was on, and still even to this day, I'll go back and I'll watch the first 3 seasons of that show, which I think are its peak. You know, as a Sabrina fan, any Sabrina fan will say seasons 1 to 3 are peak Sabrina the Teenage Witch. Right. So when, as we mentioned, the licensed game comes out for a series that you like, you know, you're probably going to want to try it. And when I found that Sabrina had a licensed tie-in on the PlayStation that was also a 3D platformer, right?
Yeah.
And 3D platformers are what I would say are my favorite genre of game. You know, I'll play any 3D platformer any day of the week, you know? So when I come across something like this, I'm like, holy crap, someone made my dream game. It's about time. Now, in the back of my mind, I was thinking, I don't really know how you'd make a very good Sabrina 3D platformer. But then again, you know, I'm not paid to make games. That's not for me to worry about. So I'm going to see what the people who were paid to make this came up with. And the answer to that question is something not very good. So let me give you some backstory. So for those unaware of Sabrina lore, Sabrina has a cat called Salem Saberhagen. It's a black cat. Salem Saberhagen. There's the alliteration again. Was a dictator who got sentenced to, I think it was 100 years as a cat for trying to take over the world. And he now lives in a house with Sabrina and her 2 aunts, right? Yep. Which is all, you know, it's great setup for a show. Great reason to have a cat walking around who wants to take over the world, you know? Which as cats do. That's kind of the thing.
Of course.
So the plot to this game is Salem has somehow found his way into the old records of his legal troubles, let's just say, revolving him being turned into a cat and taken over the world. And while trying to destroy these records, he somehow accidentally destroys a very powerful clock, the clock of life, the clock of chaos, let's just call it, the thing that kind of keeps the world in balance. So Salem accidentally destroys this clock and unfortunately releases a being known as Chaos onto the world.
That's right.
So
you fight
Stranger in Paradise?
Exactly. Yeah. This. Yeah, so if you want to know why Jack was getting angry in that game, Salem Saberhagen is the reason he knocked over a clock. Now, this clock had 12 tokens, MacGuffins, that need to be lodged inside the clock. And the only way to get chaos back into this clock and save the world, essentially, or save the other realm, is to find the 12 MacGuffins, which have now been scattered across space and time.
Right.
So it is now up to Sabrina and her cat to travel back in time to these different points in the world to find said 12 MacGuffins, to put the clock back together, and then defeat chaos once and for all. It is a video game platformer plot. We have items that we need to find, and we need to go to random miscellaneous places to get them.
Mm-hmm.
So I can live with that, right? If you watch the opening cutscene to this game, first things first, it is actually voiced by Melissa Joan Hart, and it is and it is voiced by Nick Bakey. And the writing, to an extent, is actually pretty funny. I would say it captures the spirit of the show. The CGI is a bit weird. I'm also not going to say it's the worst I've ever seen. I think it's better than Sabrina's, right?
Yeah.
Now, this game came out in 2001, so it's, in theory, it should be a little bit better, But something happens then. You get past all this bit, you get past the plot, you go into the game, and things start taking a pretty big dip very quickly. The game, first off, does not look very hot. You start moving as Sabrina. Sabrina starts flailing her arms wildly as fast as possible.
Yes.
Her whole running motion is just a very panicked person running very quickly all the time.
And it makes the entire screen shake.
It makes the entire screen shake. This, so first things first, you're not even into the beginning opening level, and you're like, oh god, the controls are not great. This movement is very poor. This is very bad. Right, which for a platformer is the last thing you want, right? So you're like, fair enough, okay, well, we'll see if we can make do with it. And then you try to move the camera. It's like you said, Arnie, the screen is shaking. For whatever reason, they decided the best way to have the camera in this game is really up close to Sabrina's back. So you have this very limited view in front of you. You basically have a third of the screen being taken up by Sabrina's character model, and then the rest of it's in front of you shaking wildly, while Sabrina herself is shaking wildly. This has all happened before you even go into the first stage. You go into the first stage, right? And the way the levels in this game are broken down is they're different places in time. So you have you have a caveman level, you have an ancient Chinese level, you have a medieval level, you have an Egypt level. It's very much kind of bread and butter platformer zones. It's like, why would Sabrina go to these places? She wouldn't really normally. We just wanted to kind of tick all the video game boxes. Nothing about this game screams Sabrina the Teenage Witch, a young 16-year-old girl living in Boston, Massachusetts, struggling to come to terms with the life of being a teenage high school girl and a witch at the same time. Instead, she's in a caveman era fighting plants with her spells, right? And look, I can get behind that kind of thing, if the game itself is fun to play, but it's one of those platformers that is so aggressively unfun, even for my love of Sabrina. I'm like, please, I want to love this game so bad. I want to see all the Nick Bakey voice lines. I want to see cats popping up and having funny lines, but you're just flailing around these really poorly designed levels that are super bland, with enemies that are hitting you before you can even see them on the screen. You're trying to fire your magic finger bolts at them, and nothing about this feels good whatsoever. So sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say, flailing is the absolute perfect word, because you watch footage of her moving and it's exactly like you said. She is it's like a bat out of hell, man. It's it's like she's being electrocuted every second of gameplay, the way she moves around. Holy shit.
Yeah.
I know it's kind of hard to describe, if you ever look at this game, but it feels, the way she's moving, that's how it feels to play. It's a bit of a strange thing to describe, but never has a character's movement been so apt to how the control is. It's slippy, I guess, is a good way to put it. I mean, this is a game, it's not like the platforming or the combat itself is essentially too difficult, right? It's very basic stuff, but the way the game plays and the way it feels to play and the way that the combat works, everything is much harder than it really needs to be.
Yes.
Like it is a very simple game where like if you're playing as a Mario or like a Rayman or a Crash Bandicoot, anything that just has kind of like well thought out and simple, controls that are consistent the entire way through. This game does not have it at all. Yeah. And it really wants you to be able to do those things, but you just can't do it. So that's the first level of the game, by the way. You go through this like as the old school level. You're like, this is terrible, right? But my nature is to keep going. I don't like giving up on a game immediately. So, we'll go through it. And I'll tell you now, the game gets significantly worse as you go through it level by level.
Oh, no. That was the best they had.
Each new zone, right, even though you're in like a new location, it looks exactly like the last location. They might have changed the color of the walls. They might have added a new miscellaneous enemy in there, but like nothing is different in the slightest. You come across these little, I suppose I'm going to call them hint zones. It's like a rip in time. It's like a little zip, and Salem will pop out.
Yeah, I saw one of those, and I was terrified because Salem comes popping out of it and was like, "Hey, what do you need?"
And I mean, in game, Salem's not looking too hot either. I gotta say, like it sounds like Salem. It does not look like Salem. I'll put it that way. And you ask Salem for hints, and Salem's hints are like jump over the lava, and then he disappears.
Whoa.
And you get like a little comedy line, and this game, it runs out of its comedy lines within the first half of the first level. So the next 12 levels of this game, they're just on repeat. Melissa Joan Hart is saying the same thing over and over again. Every time she jumps, every time she picks up an item, she's spouting one of her 2 different lines. And it's like, this is the kind of game where ideally it would be over within 30 minutes. You'd be like, fair enough. It wasn't great. At least it didn't take up too much of my time, But it drags on for much longer than it needs to. And it's like Gex, right? Gex, I love Gex, okay? But after a certain period of time, Gex, you start to hear a few of the same lines. Maybe about like 2 hours into the game, you might get a few of them, right? Like I'm talking literally a minute into this game, you've heard everything you need to hear. And it's not great. But let me tell you a bit about why this game. Oh, sorry.
So it sounds like it had a shoestring budget and used it all on voice lines from the cast.
like really.
Sounds about right.
This came out in 2001, which I'm gonna start saying is the time when like the quality of licensed games really began to drop. Not like all of them were amazing leading up to that, but I don't think any licensed games after about 2001, they were really having the effort put into them. They were just being, they're quite literally cash grabs. And as time went on, 2002, 2003 especially, they got really, really bad. But the reason why Sabrina bothers me so much is because I really love this series. And I was like, wow, you never think you're going to get a Sabrina video game. And when you see something like that, you're like, finally, a game just for me.
No, it's true. It's true. Like, you'd be so, like, I'm surprised because I was like, oh, yeah, you're right. Like, there isn't, like besides this one, I don't know. Like, are there any others? Like, I don't even know.
I'll get to a bit because once again, I'm well versed on Sabrina lore, and that includes Sabrina video game lore. So I'll hit you with some other Sabrina facts in a moment. But the real reason this game is very bad. Okay, so taking into consideration everything we went through, you have to go through 12 different stages to find said MacGuffin. Okay, you click gems. They're almost like exact copies of Spyro gems.
Yes, they look exactly the same.
Even the gem counter, I was gonna say, I think is the same, and the UI for it's pretty wild.
I feel like if you're not collecting coins, you're collecting gems. That's kind of the way to go. I don't know what else Sabrina would collect, like, I don't know, Violent Femme CDs, who knows. Hard to know. But the problem is that when you go through these 12 levels, okay, you want to find these MacGuffins. You want to find like a crystal, like in a Crash game. They're like put right in front of you pick it up, you exit the level. In Sabrina, right, the first time you go through these levels, you actually can't get them. What you need to do is you need to collect gems. Get to the end of the level, collect as many gems as you can, and when you've beaten all of the zones in an area, you can go back to the hub world, trade in your gems to this guy called the Fashion Diva. Now, what the Fashion Diva does is he gives you new outfits, right? Which is fair enough, a nice little cosmetic change. But to actually get the MacGuffins, you need to buy a specific outfit for the world that you're going into. So, for example, if you want to get the caveman MacGuffin, you need to wear the caveman outfit, which is just like, it's a little loincloth or whatever with Sabrina running around it, which is a bit strange. But that means you then need to replay those levels and then go through a secret door somewhere through it, which will only activate when you have that outfit on, and then collect it.
Awesome.
Does it change anything else? Does it change your abilities?
No. What do you think, Mike?
It is quite literally a way to pad out the game and have you play through every single level a second time. And
wow.
That's awesome.
And that's not great in a good game, right?
Yeah.
That's not great in a good game. In a bad game, that's very bad. So this game, which should have been about 45 minutes to an hour at most, gets dragged out for at least an extra half an hour. I mean, sure, but at that stage, you're probably just running past every item, every obstacle just to get to this area where you go into it. But once again, you need to farm the gems to be able to afford the outfits. So you still gotta try, you know?
Oh my God.
That's rough.
It's really bad. And like, there's a few boss fights. The boss fights also very bad. The last boss fight in the game is really funny because it's, as you go into it, right, it has a really weird gimmick where you and Chaos, right, Sabrina and Chaos are fighting off against one another. And it has this whole setup where like a timer ticks down and then Sabrina will either turn into a cat, a mouse, or an elephant. And Chaos will either turn into a cat, a mouse, or an elephant. And if you're like the mouse and Chaos is the cat, you need to run away from Chaos. And then a few seconds later, you'll turn into the mouse and Chaos will turn into the elephant, which means you can hit him and you literally just have to walk into him to damage him. It's such a strange, like, it's like a rock, paper, scissors concept.
But you can't choose what you're using?
Oh no, it's all random. It's on like a timer.
What?
Yeah, you randomly. So like, it's basically, if Chaos is the elephant and I'm the cat, I need to run away from him because elephant beats cat. But cat beats mouse and mouse beats elephant, and it's just on a random timer. This fight lasted about a minute as well, by the way.
It's so good.
I don't know, like someone was in like the game design, like, do you know what people will love? Do you know what's a great idea? And they do like these really weird models, like the models of the cat and the mouse and the elephant look so creepy as well. It's
I'm watching it now. This is just absurd.
It's like humanoid cat, humanoid mouse. I feel like it was the perfect cherry on top to end the game. I was like, how could they top off this amazing masterpiece of a video game? And then I was in this fight and I was like, well, they did it. They got it.
They sure did it.
So
this is absurd. My mind is blown watching this right now. The fact that you can't select which form that it's like, oh my God. And it's like
that's not even the first game to do that to me, which is the worst thing. I don't know why other games like this. I won't get into it, but like they might have even copied that idea from another game and be like, "This is great."
Right?
People love.
That's
it's
sick.
It's insane. Now,
you know what people like? The designers again. You know, they're in the room and they're like, you know what people like? Not having control over, being able to have any kind of agency whatsoever in the game. They like, people like, they like waiting. They like waiting until we tell them or give them the opportunity to do anything at all. That's what they like. It's like, man. Oh, Salem in the ending cutscene. Oh shit. Okay, sorry.
I wasn't joking about that. I wasn't joking.
Spoilers.
So that was a So that was a pretty bad experience for me because most licensed games I can go into, I don't really expect the most out of, but there's times where you really want a game to be good. And because I enjoy Sabrina so much, I would just love there to be like a good Sabrina platformer. And that was absolutely not the case. But what I will say is just a little side note to kind of turn a bad story into a good one, is that on the Game Boy Color, right, there's actually 2 Sabrina games based off of the Sabrina animated series. I don't know if there was a Sabrina spin-off, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
These are 2 like little platformer games, but they were made by Way Forward.
Oh, okay.
So they were made by the team behind Shantae before they made Shantae. So this is kind of like really early Way Forward as they were kind of getting their legacy in place.
Oh my goodness.
And these Way Forward Sabrina games, right? While it's definitely not Way Forward's best work, it's exactly what I would have wanted from a Sabrina game. It is a really good Game Boy Color platformer that stars Sabrina doing cool Sabrina stuff. And not only is there one of them, but there's 2 of them. So good, they did it twice. So
that's
even though on the PlayStation I didn't get what I wanted, I got maybe one of the worst games I've ever played, which is heartbreaking. Sabrina does have at least some good games. And I'll take that. Yeah. We'll always have the Game Boy Color games.
Yeah.
So.
You gotta take the wins where you can get them, right?
Exactly. So I can have that exist because the Game Boy Color games are so good.
I mean, that way forward sheen is there, man. The animation character models look great in these Game Boy games. Holy shit.
Yeah,
exactly.
That's great.
So,
man, nice.
Yeah,
awesome.
So a positive end to an otherwise horrible story where Salem scars you for life for how weird he looks. But hey,
that's
the
right.
way I was watching, and it was funny because previously in when we were chatting prior to the episode on Discord a couple days ago, Arnie was like, okay, so I was watching a little clip of Sabrina and
Dude.
I want to throw up. And I was like,
I had to lie down.
I was like, okay, I got to watch this. And I was watching a bit of clips of it, and anytime it's between the character moving, and it's exactly like you said, Sean, it's like she's slipping everywhere. Like, how can a character have like zero? It's like her character has a sense of momentum and weight, but her animations portray none of that. Yeah. So she's slipping everywhere. It's as if she's a cartoon on ice, like running around slipping on ice.
Your
constantly.
brain sees like dirt, right? A dirt pathway. But what you're seeing is ice physics, and what you're feeling is ice physics. It's like giving you like an aneurysm while it's happening. You're like, this doesn't make any sense. It's not happening. This isn't reality. But
wild.
All right.
It's bad.
All right. So we've got 3 good games. We've had 4 good games, 3 bad games. And I guess it's up to me now to fucking bring us home, right? I don't think I'm going to be able to top Sabrina. Like I was like, oh shit, you know, Sean put this game up there, and I was like, let me take a look at this, and I was like, man, I don't think I've played anything that bad.
Respect.
Like,
I mean, hey, Ren and Stimpy. Respect to that too.
Ren and Stimpy's up there. Like that's. God. But I feel worse for Sabrina because it's on console. It has like all the benefit and power of a PlayStation.
Good point.
And this is what they did with it.
Good point.
So for mine, I'm gonna go way back now. Like before, I was like in the PS2 era. Now I'm going all the way back to the humble Sega Genesis / Mega Drive. I had 2 possible games I was gonna do here, both very much a part of my childhood. I played both of them a lot, but I'm gonna go with Batman Forever. And I don't know if you've played Batman Forever. Like, this is not one of those where like, let me tell you about a game that nobody knows about. That's bad. Everybody knows this game is horrendous. But it's just like, I was like, I'm prepared for this. Like, I've played this game, I've experienced it, and I went to watch some gameplay, and I was like, somehow this is worse than I remember.
It's terrible.
Like, it really is. It was from the end. I was reading on it that it's in the Mortal Kombat 2 engine, and all of a sudden things like made sense to me again. I was like, this fucking finally I understand why this looks like this. Why did they choose to do this? And it was like, oh, because the Mortal Kombat 2 was fucking cool and we had the engine, so like why not? But it was. So
walk us through it,
basically, I mean, in the purest sense of the word, it's just a beat 'em up, right? Like, okay. But it's not a left and right beat 'em up, because as we've established with Ren and Stimpy, that's too simple. We can't fucking. We got to step this up a notch. We're this 16-bit, like we're over this Mario shit. So they added some verticality in that you as Batman, and this is the part that everybody always talks about and that I remember the most viscerally. If you've ever played this game, the way you go up is that sometimes Batman will see a hole in the ceiling of whatever room he's in, and you have to shoot your bat cable to fucking ascend up to the second floor, because you're Batman. Like, it's like a 6-foot gap, but he can't just like reach up and climb. He has to like shoot his thing up. And the thing is, he has to use all of them. And the thing is, this would be fine, because you think, oh, this gap is like, in pixel terms, it's like, you know, a good amount. Like, Batman's sprite is maybe like 8 pixels across or something. This is like 12 pixels across. You're like, oh, easy. Shoot up, nothing. Shoot up, nothing. Shoot up, nothing. What the fuck is happening? You have to be in like a very specific spot and shoot at a very specific angle for the thing to hook on, and then you like slowly ascend. Like, he like leans back like he's rappelling, but he's going up, and then he climbs to the next floor. Now, if you fall through the hole, which will probably happen, then you have to do that all over again. And so you spend so I never figured it out. I never figured out what the perfect like position was to shoot the cable up to be able to move from one level to another. And it's not set up in a way where it's like, oh, walk all the way to the right, go up, now walk all the way to the left, you finish the level. It's like, go to the right. Oh, there's a door. Go up. Okay, now go left. Oh, that's a dead end. So go right. Oh, here's a place you got to go down now. Okay, now go up. Now go up again. Like, it makes no fucking sense the way they've set this up. There's no indication of like where you're supposed to go, what you're supposed to do. It's like, go in either direction, beat up some of the worst digitized actors we've ever put in a video game, and then eventually like find the exit. And I don't know, man, there's like, the other game I was going to talk about was Mighty Max, and it has the same problem, which is that like they never tell you where you're supposed to go. They never tell you what you're supposed to do. It's like, oh no, have fun, explore. And it's like, but you make it so difficult to even do that. Like I can't move.
They give you like, you're in like a room and you're a kid and they give you all these like broken toys and like shitty
you
toys.
Will have
and they're
fun.
like, go nuts.
Yeah.
Go nuts. Use your imagination. And you're like, your toys suck, man.
Yeah. And then eventually what happens is you get to an enemy and you're like, oh, finally, like I can at least have some fun beating up guys. I don't, like, maybe I didn't figure out, there's like 3 whole moves in this game. Like there's a punch, there's a kick, there's like a low kick, and there's like a weapon that you can use.
Yeah.
And I was just like, okay, so walk up to guy, like Street Fighter, like punch him in the face, he dies. At least when you use Robin, you get like his like bow staff, so that's like kind of cool.
Oh, that's kind of cool.
Like, oh yeah, that's dope. And then, but like once you've done it like 3 times, you're like, okay, like can we please just, you know, like do something different? And the guys obviously take forever to die. Like it's not like 2 hits. It's like, oh no, they'll fall back, they'll get back up, you gotta knock them back down. Like there's a sweeping leg kick you can do that has like one of the funniest animations of a guy just like falling directly backwards like over and over again. And like I used to do that like 7 times to the same guy, and he just kept getting up, and I'm like, oh shit, all right, sweep the leg, get up. I'm like, punch him, sweep the leg. I'm like, I've spent like 2 minutes trying to kill this guy. I'm Batman, like I'm supposed to be strong.
Yeah. So I have a couple questions.
Sure.
One, and maybe I'm beating Sean to the punch already because Sean already brought this up.
Yes.
Is it co-op?
I don't believe so, but again,
oh my god!
But here's the thing: I played this on a Sega Nomad, because I explained this before. I never had a Genesis. I only ever had a Nomad, so I wouldn't even I would know, Mike. Like I would not know. Maybe.
Every time I picture young Arnie with a Nomad, it always cracks me up. I don't know why.
We didn't have a Nomad, so even the idea of like somebody using a Nomad, I'm like, wow. If I had seen like a kid with a Nomad, I would have been so jealous.
Yeah,
now as you mentioned all of this, I'm like, maybe not.
Well, it was one of those things where my aunt got it for me as a kid, and so like I had never seen a Genesis, and so when she got it for me, I was like, oh, these are like Nomad games. Like I never understood that there was like a console that played these cartridges.
Wow.
Why the fuck do they say Genesis on the side?
Yeah, I was
That's
like,
weird.
What the fuck is this? And so like my answer is going to be I don't know, but if it did, it would only make it a worse game, because now I have to figure out how to get up, and I have to wait for you to figure out how to get up.
Sounds like a good way
so now
to
we're
lose
both
friends
just wasting
there.
our time.
Hey, want to play this game with me? No.
I would be livid. I would be so upset.
I can't imagine. I mean, it's so silly, man. Like I'd seen this game before. And I don't know, like, I feel like such a moron because you're like, oh, yeah, it's like Mortal Kombat 2. And now when you look at footage, you're like, of course it's from Mortal Kombat 2. Like, all of the animations, like the idle poses, like each of the moves, his weird... He shoots a gun and it shoots like jelly on the floor, like 2 feet away from him. Like all of these moves are like, oh god, they're all Mortal Kombat moves.
Yeah,
like
they
can't
give
believe...
you like a ton of gadgets too. They're like, oh, you have batarangs, you have jelly, you have the grapple hook, like all this stuff. You never I barely ever used any of it because again, they don't explain anything to you, so you're just left to be like, what does this do? When do I use this?
I just love the way you say jelly is like that's a common bat gadget. They give you
jelly,
boomerang, jelly, all the stuff. You know?
Yeah, the bat goo that you use
all the classics.
all the time.
Bat goo. Well, I was gonna ask the whole going up and down thing.
Yeah.
You say that Batman sees it, and I was gonna ask, yeah, but that doesn't mean you see it, right? Like, isn't part of the frustration the fact that, like, you don't always know that there's a way you can go up or down?
Oh, yeah.
There's something in the foreground hiding it.
Yes, there's always, so the way the game's designed, it's like the things that put you up and down are these holes, but like that you can't like actively see there's a hole to go from one level up. There's always a thing in the foreground.
Sorry.
If I remember correctly, there's always a thing in the foreground. So you kind of have to like, there's like visual cues that tell you like, oh, this is a place you can like shoot up or go down or whatever.
Oh, okay. All right, that's fair, I guess.
Yeah.
There's
it's
like
not,
a visual
it's
cue.
not super like it's not completely obtuse, but like again, imagine that but on a like Sega Nomad screen. Like I can't emphasize enough how like little of this game I could actually see.
Yeah.
And I mean, looking
so
at
you're saying the Sega Nomad version of Batman Forever is not
the
as
one
good
to
as
play.
Sega Genesis. Yeah, you're thinking, okay, all right, got it.
Yeah. What were you gonna say, Sean?
I mean, like, even looking at this game in motion, like, obviously Batman Forever, it's kind of a Batman game is like a dark game, you know?
Yeah.
So you're already putting yourself at a disadvantage anyway, because I'm looking at some of the gameplay and you can kind of see these holes, right? And keep in mind, I have like a 4K screen here. This is about the best I could ever possibly see these holes, right? You know?
Yeah.
And I'd be like, yeah, maybe I guess you could see them. I'm just trying to think in the, like, a Nomad.
Oh.
Almost impossible. Like, out of all the games that you could play in a Nomad, that is like, you're taking a bad game and like deducting a few points additional off it. The Nomad deduction, which is crazy. And if I remember correctly, does that game have like not even just like you press a button, it has like a weird command that you need to hold to use these gadgets. Not like you can just press C or something. You have to like hold up and press C or hold B or something like
there's
that.
There's definitely there's a series of commands you have to put in to like change and use gadgets, but I can't remember what they were. And even for the shooting the bat grapple, it's like you have to look up and then shoot, and like oh dude, it's so bad. Because then, like, if I remember correctly, you can shoot it. You can also shoot it in like any part of the ceiling, and I think he'll swing.
Yeah.
So, like, if you miss, sometimes he'll just, like, swing instead of going up. And I'm like, what the fuck? So imagine me just, like, shooting every which way, like, looking like an idiot, like, trying to get up this damn hole.
If you didn't even know, right? Because you'd be like, oh, maybe I have to use this grappling hook to go up to it. And then you hit something just, like, a pixel to the left or something, and you start swinging wildly. You're like, oh, well, clearly that's not it.
Yep.
I would just be
never
going to
do that again.
I try everything until something works, but like one of my least favorite things in games is when, as you mentioned, it's so pixel perfect that you could be doing the right thing, but in the wrong place, and then it makes you think that, oh, well, this doesn't work. Yeah. And then I can't tell you how many times I've been stuck in games as a kid where like, well, this is it. I'm never getting any further.
I'm never proceeding from this point.
This is the end.
Yeah. But yeah, man, it is bad. And like, again, like, you know, Batman Forever, I really liked it as a kid. I sort of disliked it later on in life, and now I think I'm coming back around on the Schumacher Batmans. Like, I'm like, oh man, like, I definitely owned, I don't know if you guys remember, or if they even had these in Ireland, but they had these like special Burger King glasses for this movie. They were like made out of glass, and like they had like the Riddler on it. I had one of those. I fucking loved that shit.
Right. Pretty
like,
sick.
Yeah.
So I was very excited about playing Batman Forever. I didn't go into it being like, oh, I hate Batman Forever. You know what I mean? Like, I was genuinely looking forward to it, and then it was bad.
This was your Sabrina.
Yes, basically. Yes. Except I don't think they ever tried to make another Batman Forever game.
Oh, man. Have you ever played Batman Forever, the arcade game?
No.
This is basically, it's exactly like this game, but if it was good. That's the only way to put it. Yeah, they made exactly like, I think it's the same Mortal Kombat engine. They have like the digitized like fighters and stuff, but instead it plays like a normal beat 'em up, and it's really fast paced, and it's really like in your face. It's almost like a Schumacher movie. It's almost like that kind of style where it's like really over the top and really high octane zaniness, and like, I'm not going to say it's amazing, but like it's significantly better than what this is, because I like that is the kind of game where you look at it in motion and you can tell that that's an awkward game to play.
Yeah,
and see,
that's
constantly.
the thing is, you tell me this now, and now I'm like, is the game I'm talking about actually good? Like, am I just crazy?
Oh no, but I knew the second you mentioned Batman Forever, like the Super Nintendo and the Sega Genesis versions, neither of them are any better than the other. But I think
thank God.
the Genesis version is a bit worse, naturally because it has less buttons. So they had to like make all of those commands more complex, so it's harder to do basic things.
It sure is.
And then you have to do it on a Nomad on top of that. Kudos to you.
Oh God.
Did you ever, Arnie, did you finish it?
No.
Or like, how far did you get?
I think I did end up beating the first level. I can't imagine I got much further than that.
Okay.
To be honest with you. Like, I know I definitely never saw a boss.
Yeah.
So I definitely did not make it very far. But yeah, no, it's one of those where it's like, not only was it bad, but it's bad and it's a thing I enjoyed when I played it. So I was like, fuck, this is like double bad now. But that'll bring us to a close on another excellent episode of the Region Free Gamers. You know, Sean, first of all, thank you so much for joining us. I truly appreciate it. I'm just going to give you the floor for the next, 30 seconds to a minute for you to plug whatever you want, man.
Oh, that's cool, guys. I'm not super big on the plugin and stuff. I'd more like just to say thank you for having me on. I had a lot of fun chatting to you guys. You brought up some really cool games and some really not so cool games, but even the not so cool games are, really fun to talk about from time to time. I have a lot of fun looking at these, your Ren and Stimpies, your Batman Forevers. You can look at this and you can just get the feeling. You can feel the pain. I feel all of your pain. I suppose since I probably should try plug myself a little bit. You can check out my channel over on Sean Johnson over on YouTube. We play through a lot of licensed games, the good and the bad. I like to market myself as long videos to fall asleep to. So if you'd like to hear an Irish person talk to you about weird and strange video games in the background while you go to bed at night, that's what I do.
Yeah.
So feel free to pop on by, and if you don't, that's cool too. I'm not your dad. Don't worry about it.
There we go.
Thanks so much for having me on, guys. We had a great time.
Thank you so much, Sean. Thank you so much. Really, we were really super stoked to have you on the show, man.
Yeah. And as always, guys, you can find all our stuff at Linktree. That's linktr.ee/regionfreegamers for everything you want. Pop on over there. Pop on the Discord. Let's have a chat. Throw us a review. Throw us a Patreon follow. Whatever you guys want to do. We love you so much and we appreciate it. You're the reason we do what we do. Thanks for joining us for another episode. We'll see you next time. Peace.
See ya.